Welcome to our set review of Commander Masters. This is every common and uncommon for the draft environment.
I'm Mia, and I hate putting basic lands into my Commander decks.
I'm BZ, and I love drafting Commander, and this is a very special episode. It is very long, as you can see from the bottom of the YouTube viewer. This is every single common and uncommon. We are grading them for limited for you to draft Commander Masters. This is going to be really, really fun. There's a couple differences we have to go over, but first we have to go over who's making this possible. This channel wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Patreon, so if you want to go over and support the channel directly so we get more cool stuff like 3+ hour set reviews, you can do that. And what else are we sponsored by, Mia?
We're also sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. If you use the code
Nerds
at checkout, you can save 5% on your entire order. That's code
Nerds
at checkout.
And Dragon Shield is another sponsor. They have the best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
There's 2 links in the description at EU or the US. You can go there and buy the sleeves directly from the source, support the channel and yourself at the same time because you're about to be getting the best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
In the mail. Moxo.com, best deck building website in the entire known universe. We're going to put one in this video. If you guess this one, you win 1,000,000 Grave Titans that are all proxies that I won't deliver to you. But you deserve them. But you won't get them because if you say you got it right, you just cheated.
And we hate liars.
Yeah, and happy birthday to everyone's birthday is today, so we can get into this. This is going to be a doozy. It's Commander Masters. This is a premium, higher value product, so if you do get to draft it, you don't want the draft to go to waste. We've got all of the tips, cards, grades you're going to need. You're going to understand this format like a pro. You know, the rare and mythic set review is coming later, but this is the common and uncommons. This is where you're going to see every single draft. But there's a few differences if you are normally a limited drafter that make this set completely different. First of all, Mia, why don't we start?
First of all, you're actually going to get 2 picks per pack, so things are going to wheel a lot less. So if you're aiming for something, you better take it as soon as possible. You're also building for the color identity of your commander or commanders because monocolor legends in the set have partner, so you can have 2. That may or may not have been inspired by the Nitpicking Nerds Cube. We're not going to say, but probably is. Every pack is also going to have 20 cards, and about 4 are going to come back every time. So you better just, again, pick while you still can. You're going to make 60 card decks, no singleton, so if you play multiple copies of the same common or uncommon, you can play them. And then also there's going to be no sideboard, just like normal Commander.
Yep, it's a 4-player game. There's a bunch of different rules that we just went over, so just keep them in your head because they're all going to apply and affect the draft experience. Now, we're going to be grading cards on an A to F scale. A's are the bombs of the format. They're the best cards in the set. They're good when you're ahead. They're good when you're behind. And they can take over games entirely by themselves. B's kind of looking while you're drafting, there are reasons to be in the colors. So if you see a really powerful green card, you know that green's probably open because you don't really pass this card because it's a B power level. C's are the pawns of limited, as another podcast so often says. They're just kind of filler. You're going to end up with a ton of C's in your deck, and they're kind of okay. D's, you're going to play sometimes. You're kind of unhappy to play them, and you're really trying to avoid them. I would say if your deck has a lot of D's in it at the end, you're probably in the wrong colors. And F's, literally unplayable. I would suggest never putting these in your deck. You're probably not going to see a ton of them because Wizards designed this for Commander, and there's a lot of different things to do. And then there's another category of grade, which is build around. So if I give something a build around B, it means the card is generally useless by itself, but when paired with the right cards, can go up to a B, or if I grade it higher, higher. There's one important card in this set that we have to grade before anything else because it's the Prismatic Piper, and it's a 5-mana 3/3 legendary creature shapeshifter. If the Prismatic Piper is your commander, choose a color before the game begins, and the Prismatic Piper is that color and its partner. This is only here to fill a slot. I think it's 1 every 6 packs. If you don't end up with commanders after the draft, you get spotted a Prismatic Piper for free. Don't ever draft this card. Literally, it is an F. It is unplayable, but it is important to know that if for some reason something goes wrong, or you just couldn't find your colors, or you switch colors last second, you can still have a commander. You always have access to this card. So we can get into the actual signpost uncommons, as we always do on this podcast. I mean, this is episode 5. You should know by now.
The first one is Akiri, Fearless Voyager. 1 red-white that says, whenever you attack a player with 1 or more equipped creatures, draw a card. And you can pay white that says, you may unattach an equipment from a creature you control. If you do, tap that creature and it gains indestructible until end of turn. This is also stapled to a 3/3 body. I think this is not that bad in the right deck because drawing cards always great, comes down really early. 3/3 is not bad stats for this, but you also, have to build around it. It has to be an equipment deck.
Yeah, it really wants equipment to function. Things to note that we're going to start slowly getting into. This is a very high-powered set. You're going to probably build a 2-color deck, maybe a 3-color. Every common and uncommon is only pointing towards a 2-color deck. So these uncommons, a lot of them were downshifted from rare. This is obviously pointing towards a Boros equipment deck. I think the card itself is a good commander. I don't know how often Boros equipment comes together. They tried it in the original Commander Legends. I promise you, I have drafted Commander Legends 1 and Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate more than almost any human alive. The red-white equipment deck was not great in the original Commander Legends. I would probably start this at like a C+ and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I think if you're ending up with a lot of equipment, it's definitely good, but I wouldn't take this too highly. I might put this as a slot filler later, or like the just in case you want to draft a red-white deck and you only draft like a red commander and you don't find that white one later. Seems just like a parachute almost.
Yeah, does not seem like a great card. It'll probably be like a pretty okay commander. Let's go to Ariel, Knight of Windgrace. 2 white black for a 4/4 Vigilant Knight. 2 and a white, tap it, create a 2/2 white Knight with Vigilance. X and black, tap, untap, X, control Knights. Destroy target creature with power X or less. Okay. It wants Knights? I don't remember seeing a Knights theme. This might just be because it makes tokens. I really don't know what's going on here. This card kind of looks bad to me. I'm going to give it a C-. And then as the set review goes on, if I feel like there's enough Knights, I'll bump it up.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be happy to find this or play this. I would not pick this unless I had to. I might even say D+ on it because its abilities are kind of expensive to use too.
You don't really get anything right away. I don't care about the body at all. This is going to be a high-powered set, so I'm not excited by what I've seen so far.
No. Next, we've got Hamza, Guardian of Arishan. It is 4 green-white for a 5/5 that says this spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. I've seen some good stuff with +1/+1 counters on here. We have Doubling Season reprint, so that's definitely a good sign. I think this is one of the better 2-color commanders that we've seen so far, but I still wouldn't take this highly. I think it's hard to come together, and I think I'd still rather have 2 monocolor legends put together than forcing myself into +1/+1 counters. I'd say maybe a C.
C seems about right. So this card is really powerful outside of draft. When the format is wide open and you can play whatever you want, this card's really, really good. This card was not good in Commander Legends. I think it's going to depend on how much card draw you have access to. I think C is fine. I'm telling you, none of these have seen that special so far. Let's go to the next one. It's Judith, the Scourge Diva. This one seems a little bit better. It's 1 black-red for a 2/2. Other creatures you control get +1/+0. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Judith pings 1 damage to any target. Black-red sack, probably a thing again. Black-red sack's coming back. I like this more than Jury, who was the Commander Legends guy before. The buff is nice for attacking, blocking. It's going to trade up, and then when your creatures die, you get to ping things. I think this is going to be good. There's going to be some like hostage-y situations where you build up a lot of black-red stuff, just disposable tokens, and then hold up a sack outlet. And with Judith, you can start machine gunning things down and say, "Don't attack me, or else." I think this one's probably closer to B+ maybe. This card looks really good.
I think B+ might be a tiny bit high, but I do think it's in the B range, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably a B.
I think that it's definitely good for breaking board stalls if you have like treasures and that sort of thing too, because there's always that one creature you can't get around because, it's a 6/6. Like, I don't want to attack into that. But if you just ping it a few times, this could actually help the game move along faster, especially if you can recurve from like the command zone and just, kill it once, come back.
It's pretty cheap.
The next one is Melek. Is it Paragon? It's 4 blue-red for a 2/4 that says, play with the top card of your library revealed. You may cast instants and sorcery spells from the top of your library. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your library, copy it. You can choose new targets for the copy. I think this is really fun. I don't think it asks that much of you besides, is it Spellslinger? I think just playing with the top of your library revealed isn't like too much of a downgrade in general because it's more information, but you also get that information. I could give this a B and be happy.
See, this might be the first time where we disagree.
Really?
I have zero faith in this card. It's 6 mana, so if it dies once or twice, you're in super trouble. It does nothing right away. The known information part is really tricky because depending on what's on top, this becomes more or less of a threat. I don't like the mana investment, and I think even if I get to copy a spell, I don't know what the spell is. You can't really control what the spell is. So maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. You're probably copying on average a 3-mana thing. Still not worth 6-mana investment. I think this is more like a D- where I'll just never play it if I have a choice.
Really? That's really interesting. I'm not sure if I'd pick it first pick or something, but I think if I'm just doing Is It Spellslinger and I just have a bunch of instants and sorcery, I wouldn't be that mad to play it.
I think I'm going to give it a D+ because I know one of the other commanders coming down later, and that card is way worse than this. Let's go to Wrath Capuchin, Ship's Mage, 4 mana for a 3/3 Flash Flyer. You can cast historic spells as though they had flash. Nothing really flashy going on here. It doesn't ask a ton. You just play some historic spells. Some of your artifacts are going to have flash. I don't see a huge theme here, but it's just a flash flyer. You can hold it up, throw them down, and then pass a turn and still develop your board. I think it's totally fine. It's probably a C+.
Yeah, I was just actually going to say fine is the word I'd describe it as.
This is so inoffensive. It's
yeah,
just okay.
B- C+. If I see it, I go, okay, that's a creature.
Right, I really wouldn't be scared of Wrath, but it's not bad.
No, absolutely not. Slimefoot the Stowaway is up next. We have 1 black-green for a 2/3 that says, whenever a sapperling you control dies, Slimefoot the Stowaway deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. You could pay 4 to create a 1/1 green sapperling creature token also. I actually saw some sapperling support in
Yeah,
this.
there's like a lot, actually.
And I was just really surprised to see that. So maybe there is more support for this in general, but I think that's also such a specific build around, and it asks like a fair amount of you, and it asks like the draft table to not be taking those sapperling cards in general, which might have good use in like other token decks or that sort of thing. So I'd say maybe C minus. Like,
I think this is the best one we've seen so far.
Really?
I think it has a nice mana sink, so it's never dead in the late game. You can always continuously churn out sapperlings. The sapperlings deck is a thing, so you're going to have residual sapperlings in your deck. I think they want black and green cards to make sapperlings at least a little bit. So you're going to be pinging. It's kind of like a backup win condition. There's going to be sack outlets running all over the place in black. I give Slimefoot like a B+. I think I'm going to be pretty happy to play my boy.
yeah, I might bump it to a C+ or something, but I think B+ is just incredibly high.
I think he's just good. I don't know. I know this kind of like not competitive commander where like you have good cards, but you're at the mercy of your draft table. I think this is gonna be well. Let's go to Tigum, Sidisi's Hand, 3 black white, 3 black blue for a 3/4. Skip your draw step at the beginning of your upkeep. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put 1 into your hand, the rest into your graveyard. You can pay black and tap them and exile X cards from your graveyard. Target creature gets -X until end of turn. Tigum's a little pricey, but it does say that you basically draw a card, but better. You get to look at the top 3. So skip your draw step isn't really that relevant. And then you can start picking things off. You're not going to kill a ton. You're not going to be like exiling 6 cards to kill 6/6s. It's something you can do. I think you're probably going to struggle to have your graveyard constantly filled. This looks like a nice little C to me. I think I would be fine playing this card.
This seems like a 100 card like commander for me, but not a 60 card, because 3 each turn definitely starts to add up after a while.
Yeah,
I
you
think
you kind of hope he dies because you can't untap 10 times with Tigum in play. You're building a 60 card deck. You don't want to like rip through your whole library really quickly.
Yeah, I don't know. If I had card draw effects, it's like so each target player draws X amount, and you have this out. It's like, all right, I'll have you draw as many as you want, -3, and then or -2, and then you just die on upkeep. And it's like, I don't know, like.
Well, technically, if Tigum never dies, you won't ever draw a card from an empty
Yeah.
library because you skip your draw step and you look at the top 3. So if you have an empty deck and you go to draw, you don't, and you look at the top 3, which you can't, but then nothing happens and you just kind of go to your main phase. Still, Tigum is just fine. It's just slow, repeated removals, some card selection, really pricey body.
Yeah.
Nothing on ETB.
I would just be really scared of this considering it is a 60 card deck. I'd say maybe C-, like the effect's good, but milling myself out or just like be not just having all that stuff in my graveyard and then just not being able to get it in the end. Like, I don't know. I'd be a little scared of that.
See, this is what these commanders at Uncommon are competing with. This next one.
Yeah, Tatiova Benthic Druid, 3 green blue for a 3/3 that says whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life and draw a card. This was crazy in Pauper Commander?
Commander?
Yeah, Commander in general. But no, I'd say this is amazing card. I'd say A-, B+. Like
B+. I wouldn't get too crazy with it, but this is going to be a card I'm going to first pick. I think if I see it, I'm going to be excited to draft blue-green. You don't have to play it on turn 5. You play it on turn 6, 7, or 8 when you can go land or land plus like Sky Shroud Claim, God forbid, you just start drawing a million cards. it does pretty much everything you want to do.
It's all built into itself.
Yeah,
so
I like B+, but I could see it being an A-. It's the best of these uncommon legends. And now we can talk about the worst one. Back from Commander Legends to suck again, it's Tuya Bearclaw. 1 green-red for a 2/2. Whenever she attacks, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the greatest power among other creatures you control. Green-red was by far the worst deck in Commander Legends, mainly because this stupid thing was your commander. It is vanilla stats at best, and so we've taken one of the worst commanders from Commander Legends and dropped it into a new format that is probably like 2 or 3 times stronger straight up. This card's going to be terrible. I would suggest never playing this as your commander or almost never playing your deck. I really want to give it an F, but I might give it a D- because commanders, this is still better than 2 Prismatic Pipers. You know, it could be your commander if you don't have anything else.
Yeah, D- sounds about right.
I hate this card.
I would never be happy to see this. If someone kept this on the field as their commander, I would not remove it unless, like, ever targeted, at least. I would wait for a board wipe or something like that because I just don't care.
It doesn't even have trample. It just doesn't do anything. It does not do enough.
Yeah.
Don't draft Tuya Bearclaw. Like, just don't.
Yeah, just get a 1/1 Saproling and just keep blocking it every time instead.
Slimefoot and Taptiova make this card look embarrassed. Let's get to white cards. We're going to start doing some white cards. We're going to Warburg order.
Yeah. First off is Einok Bondkin. It's 1 in a white for a 2/1 that says Outlast 1 in white, which says if you pay it and 1 in white and tap it, you can put a 1/1 counter on this creature, only at sorcery speed though. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has first strike. So we're getting to see that little like +1/+1 counter deck. That's not too bad if you're building into this, and it's definitely a good like drop in the beginning, like a just 2 power. But I'm not taking this too highly. It seems like a deck filler. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this seems like a C-. You're gonna get this probably in your wheel. You know, you take 2 cards per pack, and there's 20 cards. So when you wheel a pack, you only have 4 cards left. I think you're gonna see this in some of those cards, but I don't think it's bad. If you're +1 counters, you're gonna be happy. But like nobody else wants this card. If you are +1 counters, you're the only person who cares that this card exists. Stacking up counters on blocks for first strike can be interesting if this thing doesn't die. If you have like 3/3/3s with counter on them, no one's going to attack into you if they have first strike. It's a nice little 2-drop. Just a C- though. Let's go to Alharu, Solemn Ritualist. Again, keep an eye on everything that's legendary because these monocolored legends have partner. 4 in a white for a 3/3. ETB, put a counter on 2 creatures, and whenever a non-token creature with a counter on it dies, you get a 1/1 Flying Spirit. This card was pretty sweet. In the previous format, there's going to be a lot of those cards that I can comment on, and it's going to be pretty good now. It does something right away, unlike almost every other commander we've seen so far. It shows 2 counters, and then those creatures can chump and block or attack and just die or be sacrificed, and you get more bodies.
Yeah, I like the fact that it makes flyers too, because this is combat-based metas. You're not going to be comboing out with any Thoracle stuff, and so you have the time to kind of just poke in damage here and there. So I love the fact that these creatures have evasion.
Yeah, I like Alharu at B.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
You're going to see him a lot.
Yeah, you
in
get
the command zone.
Also, yeah, even if you don't, in the 99, in the 59, or 58, I guess, that I'd be happy to see him there too.
Mm-hmm.
All That Glitters is next. It's 1 in a white for an enchantment that says enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and/or enchantment you control. I don't think it's that bad, but I also didn't think it's that great. It's like built. It's if you build your deck around it, it's great. But also like anywhere else, it's kind of it's fine.
Got a grade?
I
know what I think of this card.
I'd say it would have to be a build around, and I even then I'd still think it might be like C+ at best as a build around.
You know what? That's fair. I was going to give this card a trash grade, but you reminded me that the build around category exists. This might be an Azorius card. I think Azorius might want artifacts and enchantments. It's kind of confusing because not every one of the 10 gold signpost commanders tells you to do anything, but some of them do. This one, I think, yeah, it's like an F. Don't just put this in your deck, but it's a build around C+, or if you have some kind of, if like Boros equipment has a lot of artifacts, the blue-white deck has a lot of artifacts, but again, it's just stats. You don't get evasion, you don't get a card back, you're going to go 2 for 1 on this if someone kills it. I like build around C. There's not really a reason to try this.
Yeah, unless you have like multiple copies of Smothering Tithe or something. Cause,
like you're putting all this effort in for a build around C. Just don't bother.
Yeah.
And it offends a Kintree Spirit. Wait for a 2/2 whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control. Bolster 1. Bolster 1 is put a counter on your least powerful creature. And offense is pretty cool. She comes down early, gives you residual counters as the game goes on. She's not a kill on sight card. I think this is just like bread and butter.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit tough to cast if you're actually doing more than one color because it's 2 white pips for it.
Yeah, not going to always be cast on turn 2.
Yeah, but I definitely don't think it's bad. It's fine.
C plus.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds about
Nice
right.
filler commander.
Ancestral Blade, 1 and a white for an artifact that says when it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token, then attach Ancestral Blade to it. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Equip 1. It's fine. It's if you're building that Boros equipment deck or that blue-white artifact deck, it's fine.
Yeah, this is just a role player. It is fine and has a little bit of synergy with basically everything. It's a token, it's an artifact, it's an equipment. It makes a creature. You can sacrifice either half of it to do things, but it just never is that flashy. I'm happy to have one in my deck. It's probably a C minus.
Yeah, C minus sounds good.
Like, it's okay. It's just nothing too crazy. How high can the ceiling be on this guy? This card is weird. Baird, Steward of Argive, 2/white for a 2/4 Vigil. Creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. It's like a mini ghostly prison. Obviously, this card doesn't proactively do anything. So it looks like a backdoor commander, like, oh, you got Baird, last pick, and you didn't end up with a white commander. Well, one of my white commanders is Baird, and the other one is, I don't know, some black creature. Not a good synergy card. I have never loved Ghostly Prison. It's a choice that your opponents can make. Maybe in a lower powered environment like this, they're less likely to attack you, but I'd still start Baird at like a D.
Yeah, maybe I was gonna say at best maybe a D plus, but it is the choice for 1 and 2. I'm not gonna say like everything dies to removal, but if someone wants to attack you with 10 creatures and they just have like 1 removal spell, okay, they can still attack you now, not pay 20 mana.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this next card's looking sweet though.
Oh, okay. Battle Screech, 2/white for a sorcery that says create 2 1/1 white bird creature tokens with flying. Flashback though, with if you can tap 3 untapped white creatures you control. I think this is pretty nice, especially just like with the flashback not even being mana. I think that's super sweet. And then, as I said before, the evasion on your tokens, I think that's really good. I would put this maybe C plus.
I think I like C plus. It's not broken, but it is going to be like, this is a bread and butter card that I'd be happy to have 3 of. It is really close to just 4 mana, make 4 dudes. Because if you just have 1 white creature when you play this, the 2 white birds you make count for the flashback. But then when you tap out, you still get 2 untapped bodies, so you still have a chump blocker. Just a ton of evasive power. This card's going to do work. It's like a workhorse. Just looks like a C plus.
Yeah, I'd take this, and not just to fill my deck.
Cartographer's Hawk. 1 and white for a 2/1 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, nope. When it deals combat damage to a player who controls more lands than you, return it to its owner's hand. If you do, you can search for planes, put it on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. This is like a catch-up ramp card. I think it's going to be actually okay. I'm trying to not be biased because I'm bummed out by how mediocre this card is in regular Commander. But in this format where you kind of just want to get your feet under you, play some early drops, and it's got evasion. The Monarchy, spoiler alert, is in this set a lot. We're going to see a bunch of cards that give you the Monarchy, and this is a flyer, so it's worth noting.
Yeah, it worries me, though, because so many people are going to be playing 2-color or 3-color, and it only gets planes, and how many like basic planes are you really putting in? That's my one worry. Another one is that it returns it to your hand, so you can't like hit once and then do it and then return it to your hand again. You're going to have to wait those 1-2 turns, hit if you can, put it back into your hand, and then if you have the mana, bring it out again and then wait another turn. That really worries me because it's like that's super slow.
Yeah, good point, though, with the planes thing, because in regular Commander, this can find your dual lands. In this format, there are no dual lands with the planes type, so it's only going to get planes. It's not going to color fix you. I think C.
Yeah, C. I might be a little bit lower than you, C minus.
This feels like a Pawn of Limited to me.
Yeah, next is Custody Squire, 4 and a white for a 3/3 flyer with the Will of the Council ability on it. When it ETBs, starting with you, each player votes for an artifact, creature, or enchantment card in your graveyard. Return each card with the most votes or tied for the most votes to your hand. I think this is actually really fun. I think Will of the Council is just such a fun mechanic. And especially if you only have like one thing in there, they have to vote for it. So I think I really like this. I don't know if it's the best card of the set, but I think it's one of the more fun cards that we've seen so far. I'd say C plus. I'd be happy because it's artifact, creature, or enchantment.
Yeah, it does cast a wide net, and you're always going to get something back. So it's kind of like a 3/3 flying Eternal Witness. I think this card's better than it looks. It looks real bad. But I think the fact that players can tie and you have a lot of different moving parts with this. Like, oh, we need an answer for this. Well, vote for my creature that I want to get back. Seems like a C+. I think this card's going to be okay.
Yeah, I think there's also a little bit of bargaining that you can do too, like politically. Like if you have the monarchy, it's like, oh, if you tie up the vote and let me get 2 things back, I'll give you the monarchy this turn, or like something like that. I think it has potential, and I think it's really fun.
All right, Danitha, Capuchin, Paragon, 2 and a white for a 2/2 first strike, vigilance, lifelink. Ores and equipment spells you cast cost 2, 1 less to cast. I am really screwing up on these cards, but it's okay because they're on screen. This is very obviously for the Boros equipment deck. Not much else. I want to give it, I think, like a build around. It's a build around C+, where I'm happy to play it if I'm the equipment deck. Any other deck, just forget it.
Yeah, definitely. I love it in the build around category for this. I can't see it anywhere else. I'd be so sad if this was like my last playable in white and I had to put it in and I wasn't equipment.
Yeah, this doesn't seem very much like a 99 card either, a 58 card either. But I will say, if Danitha is your commander, I could see playing a few Aldic Glitters, because she has first strike lifelink, so she's never going to get killed, and she'll gain you some life, which is relevant.
Yeah, in the combat metas, we need that life. Darksteel Mutation at common. 1 and a white that says, enchanted creature is an insect artifact creature with base power and toughness 0/1 and has indestructible, and it loses all other types, card types, and creature types. I think this is... Oh, it's actually uncommon. Might be. But I think this is great. We've needed a reprint for a while. I love this as like maybe a B or something. Like maybe not the reason to be in the color, but if you're in white, you should take this pretty highly as removal, in my opinion.
Kind of seems like premium removal. The only question I have is Wizards knows that they want you to have a fun draft experience, and this is going to shut down commanders. It's going to turn them into bugs with no abilities. However, that might be less of a downside when it's indestructible and there's less ways to kill an indestructible bug. So if my commander gets ruined, but I have a perfect blocker for the rest of the game, I might be okay with that. Keep an eye out for this one. If you can answer the bug in a few different ways in your deck, there's a good chance that it's not going to be that big of an upside for them. So I would start this at a B, and I would play this card, but I'm going to have my eye on it.
Yeah, and if, this is coming after your commander, definitely have that counter spell in hand.
Yeah, we'll get to the counter spells. Elite Scale Guard, 4 and a white for a 2/3. When it enters the battlefield, you bolster 2. And whenever a creature you control with a counter on it attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. This card, I think, is way more brutal than it looks. This, I think, is going to be one of the ways the games just end. They're doing a lot of this in uncommon, so this is probably the first one we've seen. So if you're the green-white counters deck, right? This is probably a build-around category. But your green-white counters, you have 5 creatures with counters on them. The player to my right, let's say Mia, just took her turn. I'm going to make a deal with the other players. I'm going to attack her with 3 or 4 creatures, tap down all her blockers. She takes all the damage because she has no blockers. And now she has no blockers for the next 2 turns. And her life is just in the other 2 players' hands. If they want to kill her, they can just do that. And I maybe left up defense, so it doesn't even matter. This card's going to be scary. Tapping down things in 4-player gets tricky when you're to the right of the person tapping things down. You need to be careful.
Yeah, I think icing down an entire board is way more brutal than it sounds on paper.
It's not even icing. It's just tap for 1 turn, but it feels like an eternity.
I mean, yeah, with 4 players, it basically is an eternity. I would be scared if I saw this on the other side of the board. I think it's a great pickup, and I'd say C+, B-.
I think it's like a build around B or B+, where it ends the game when you play it. Or it doesn't. It's not always a windmill slam in the game, but you can even play it on turn 5 and just start chipping in and making all these annoying scenarios.
Yeah, sorry, I meant build arounds.
Yeah, build around B is fine.
Yeah. Fencing Ace is next. It is 1 and a white for a 1/1 double strike. It's fine. It goes in your deck. It chips in a little bit of damage. I don't know. Not mad at it. Not happy to grab this early. It's fine.
What grade would you give it?
C. It's fine. C-. It's like, it'll go in your deck. It'll fill the slot.
I think it's more of a D+, where I don't know if I want to start this out. Certainly not starting it outside of equipment and counters. But even if this has 1 or 2 counters on it, what turn are we getting that done? I think you might end up playing one, but I wouldn't be super happy. If you have any Silversmith, I'd be less happy to play, because it's 3 and a white for a 2/3 ETB. Put a counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. This just feels like low impact. This feels like a little too expensive, and I'm not getting quite enough out of it. If you've got the turbo green-white counters deck, maybe this helps, but I would think this looks like a D.
Yeah, I'm not happy to play this, even if it is like green-white counters. I don't know. I'd rather just play other things, I think.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, I think D is about right. Generous gift, tuna white, that says destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green elephant creature token. Premium removal.
Here's your common.
Yeah, hits everything on the board. Highly recommend. I would take this. Maybe I'm not going to say first, but if I have a white commander and I see this come up, I am snatching it as quickly as possible. B+, A-.
I have a hard time getting to A-, but I would give this probably a B. This is just premium removal. It's probably the best white removal spell at common. It's going to answer any threat. It's nice and mana efficient. It's an instant speed. You can hold it up. I would play 6 generous gifts in my limited deck. It's pretty sweet. Herald of the Host, 3 white for a 4/4 flying vigilance and myriad. There's going to be so many random mechanics in this set. It's a Sarah Angel that attacks everyone all at once. You can attack the person who has no blockers to not risk this creature, and then everybody else has to deal with a 4/4. Can dish out 12 damage per combat, but the only thing is, what you see is what you get. There is no enters the battlefield ability. There's no card advantage. It's just kind of a dude.
Yeah, I think the vigilance is definitely nice. We know with the myriad too, so you're actually keeping up a blocker too, but it's nothing special.
Yeah, feels like a C.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna be picking this card very highly. It's gonna come around and you're gonna see it later in the pack.
Yeah, definitely it'll be one of those 4 that comes back to.
Could be.
Intangible Virtue, 1 in a white, that says creature tokens you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance. I think this is a build around C. It's good in your tokens deck. I don't want it anywhere else.
Yeah, obviously don't even touch this if you're not tokens, which is starting to make me think that the black-white deck is not knights, it's tokens. I think it's a build around B or B+. Like, if you're tokens, it's one of the best cards in your deck. The vigilance in these combat metas is really important because it lets you defend and attack at the same time. I would love to take a bunch of Intangible Virtues.
I think it's okay. The vigilance is really nice, but the +1/+1 is kind of what's getting me. It's just so little.
Yeah, I think it's a nice little package. There's only 2 mana.
Yeah.
This format is not going to be backbreaking enough that I say that I don't want Glorious Anthem.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, maybe I'll upshift it to maybe like a B, but not too high. Definitely build around. Please don't touch this anywhere else.
Yeah, Kelith, Sunmane Familiar, 1 in a white for a 1/1 legendary horse. Whenever a commander you control attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It has partner, but I'm not reading that because all mono-colored legends in this set virtually have partner. This card kind of does a little bit more work than it seems like. If you have Kelith as one of your commanders, it's going to come down on turn 2 every game, and then just slowly accrue counters and kind of be pretty annoying. I've seen it not as commander, and that's okay if you get it early, but it's a crapshoot because you don't know. And as commander, it's actually just kind of annoying assuming you have another commander, which you will. So Kelith, kind of a workhorse?
Maybe. But yeah, I definitely think that as commander with partner, if you're trying to attack with both of your commanders, definitely awesome. But in the 99, I'm not sure if I'd really like it there.
Yeah, let's give it a C. It can be bad, it can be great, but it's never going to be like, oh my god, Kelith won the game.
Yeah, it's never going to be awful either.
Yeah, this
though.
is just a C. You know what? We're talking so much about it, it's a C.
Kemba Ka Region for 1 white that says at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 2/2 white cat creature token for each equipment attached to him. He's a 2/4 also. She? Sorry, I don't know that much about lore. But I think that this is one of the better equipment commanders. Like, this is what I'd pick instead of the Boros one we saw earlier. And also it plays into tokens a little bit. Plus the 2/4 is not bad, especially if you're getting buffs with the other equipments that you're attaching to her.
Yeah, I like Ancestral Blade in these types of decks where you're just like, okay, dorky thing. Let's throw them on Kemba. Upkeep, start to generate a little bit of an army. The upkeep's kind of sad. I want them on combat or something, but get over it. This is only half of your commanders. It's not all of your commanders. I think it's fine. I think it's going to be
C+?
Yeah, I'm not going to bother giving it a build around. You know this is an equipment card. C+. C.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, okay, this next one. Keep an eye out for this one. It's Kirtar's Wrath, 4 white for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. Yep, it's an uncommon. They're going to do this a lot. Threshold, if 7 or more cards are in your graveyard, instead destroy all creatures. Then you get 2 1/1 spirits with flying, and the creatures that are destroyed can't be regenerated. Not a relevant piece of text, but destroy all creatures. And in the late game, destroy all creatures, create 2 1/1 flyers. This card is amazing. You're going to need board wipes in every deck. I think if you take a great deck with no board wipes and then add 2 board wipes, I think you're like twice as good. You feel twice as good about the game. There's so much that a board wipe does to a game of combat-centered commander that you just can't replicate with like 2 removal spells or, a 2-for-1. It's not going to help you. Board wipes save your butt.
I'm surprised that they're reprinting so many board wipes at at uncommon even.
For the limited environment.
But you need to take these because just in the combat metas, the board's gonna get clogged. This is gonna break the board stall. It's gonna get you ahead too with those 2/1/1 flyers.
I think if you're white, you just don't pass this card. I think it's an A-.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Yeah, this is the best white card we've seen so far.
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
can slot it into any white deck.
Absolute staple.
Knighted Mirror, 2 and a white. That says you could play 2 and a white to adapt 1. If this creature has no 1/1 counters on it, put a 1/1 counter on it. Whenever 1 or more 1/1 counters are put on him, it gains double strike until end of turn. It's a 2/2 base. I think it's good in the build around of the 1/1 deck, but I don't think it's great because you're putting a lot of mana into it. It's like the 2 and the white to adapt once, and so I think it's maybe C build around, maybe.
Feels like I wouldn't give it a build around grade. It's kind of
Really?
just goes in a couple of different decks because it's an artifact and it's counters and maybe you get an equipment on it or something. It just this card does have a lot of like oomph to it, but it feels more like Fencing Ace to me. I don't think it's anything. I don't think it's going to be that special. Let's give it a C. You know, it might be a playable card. It might be more playable than Fencing Ace because it has more base stats. I hope he does well. He's going to do well with Low Shield Clockwork Scholar, 2 and a white for a 2/4 Elephant. Prevent all combat damage that will be dealt to attacking artifact creatures you control. And whenever one or more artifact creatures enter under your control, draw a card, but only once each turn. That mirror is going to be super sweet in this deck. You're just going to start slinging this 2/2, can't be blocked, or can't be dealt damage. Throw counters on it, make it double strike. People are going to have some tough choices. Low Shield is card advantage and combat protection. I would probably first pick this or take it as soon as I see it and think that white is open. This card is really good. It does. I don't even know what else I could ask of it. I would probably give it B+.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to find card advantage in the set so far, and having it in your command zone is amazing.
Yeah, how much white card draw have we seen so far?
I think this is one of the best white commanders that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
So I would say B+ is also great, and yeah, snap it up if you see it.
Yeah, preventing combat damage in dealt to your artifact dudes, that's sweet.
Yeah. Loyal Unicorn, 3 and a white for a 3/4 Vigil that says, at the beginning of your combat on your turn, if you control your commander, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to your creatures you control this turn. Other creatures you control gain vigilance until end of turn.
Well, look at that.
think this is great, actually.
It's the same thing. We just saw it.
The combat meta, it's stable onto a creature body, but like preventing all combat damage to your creatures isn't bad, and the fact that it triggers that just on having your commander out, especially if you can get especially since you can have 2 commanders. It doesn't say both of them, it just needs to be one of them. I've seen this card do work in other people's decks in non-limited, and I'm really impressed with it every time I see it.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's more likely to trigger because you're going to have 2 commanders at least half the time with this in this set. It just negates all combat damage. You have 5 2/2s in play. Great. They're just throw them at anybody. It's literally free. They can't hurt you. If they have weak blockers, they're just going to start taking damage from your creatures. I love this card. I'm going to take it. I think it's pretty sweet.
I'm happy to give it a B.
I think B's right. It's going to be very impactful in games. Let's go to Mace of the Valiant, 2 and a white for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each charge counter on this and has vigilance. Whenever a creature enters under your control, you put a charge counter on this and it equips for 3. So pricey to play, pricey to equip, and you still don't get anything then. What you kind of want to do is play this early, then just start throwing out creatures either in tokens or equipment decks. And then once it starts giving like +5/+5, you've got real threats to start throwing with vigilance. It's slow, but the payoff can be worth it.
Yeah, I think that it's one of those things where people aren't going to use removal on it early, and then it might snowball late. But the 3 equip is really what's like, I don't want to put it in every deck that has white because of that, because 3 mana is such an investment.
Yeah, it feels like a C-.
Yeah, C- is pretty good for me. Next is Ministrant of Obligation, 2 and a white for a 2/1 that says Afterlife 2. When this creature dies, create 2 1/1 white and black spirit creature tokens with flying. Not bad. I mean, it's like, it's 4 power. There's for 3 mana, and then the 2 power once it dies has flying. I think like flying tokens are going to chip in more damage than we think.
I think this is just a bread and butter common. I think probably every white deck's just going to want this card, so it seems like a C+.
Yeah, C+ sounds good.
Just a nice little workhorse. You're just going to take this guy and feel pretty good about it. Mirror Smith is 1 and a white for a 2/1. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you can pay 1. If you do, you get a 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature token, only for equipment or maybe the blue-white artifacts deck. Seems like a build around, because you don't ever touch this outside of the dedicated decks where you have at least 10 to 15 artifacts. Build around C+, just a totally fair card.
Yeah, I think maybe even B- if you have like a super sweet artifact deck, but it'll open work if you have the right deck.
Maybe you can set up an engine where you're like bouncing an artifact back and getting more mirror tokens.
Yeah, we definitely have to see, but I think it's a good staple if it's built around correctly. Palace Jailer, 2 white for a 2/2 that says when it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls until an opponent becomes the monarch. I love monarch cards.
This is the first one. We finally got to one.
Yeah, I think this is a super fun mechanic for Commander. I also think that the removal on the body is great because even if it's just for a little bit of time, that might be the little bit of time that you need to sneak in some damage. I'm happy to play this in white decks. C+, B-?
Monarchy is going to be some of the best card draw you can find because it's going to trigger passively throughout the entire game. You can draw 5-6 cards off the Monarchy. Sure, your opponents get a few shots at it and it's going to be passed around, but we take what we can get. It's going to be still some of the most effective ways to draw cards. Palace Jailer is extra tricky because the returning clause of the exiled creature doesn't care about whether Palace Jailer is alive. It just cares about the next time you lose the Monarchy. So Palace Jailer could die immediately. That creature's still gone until you lose life from combat damage. So there's a lot going on. It's a really good removal spell. It's a card draw engine, B+ or maybe an A-. Like, I just never pass this card. This card's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Monarch's super fun. Removal's great.
It goes in literally every deck.
Yeah, I'm happy to see this.
Yeah, at least a B+ on that one. Let's go to Palace Sentinels, 3 and white for a 2/4 ETB. You become the Monarch. Here's a common version. Not a removal spell. So it's just going to be some passive card draw. This one's a little worse. I'd say C+. I'm still actually fine playing it. Think of it more of as a 2/4 that draws a card when it enters, because you're going to get the card right away at your end step.
I think it depends on where you are in the game to play this, because if you're super vulnerable and you only have a little bit of life left and you become the Monarch, I mean, that's just putting a target on your head, right?
I suppose.
And there's nothing else that comes with it. But other than that, though, I mean, introducing a Monarch is almost always great. So I think it's fine.
C+ looks good to me. You're going to see this card all the time.
Yeah. Path to Exile, 1 white that says, exile target creature. Its controller may search the library for a basic land card. Put that card onto the battlefield, tapped and shuffle. We're playing this in so many decks when we have access to every removal spell in Commander. So, we got to give it a high grade. Mm-hmm. I'd say A-.
B+.
Really? I mean, you'd never give A's, but
I'm never going to give an A to a spot removal spell in Commander. That is true.
I guess, but also it's like, if you see this and you're in white, you better take this. This is one of the best. Exile too, there's some graveyard strats.
It's efficient. It is a 1-for-1, so, I mean, there's that, but that's probably okay. Don't play it in the first 3 turns, but other than that, it's just an amazing card. Just take it, B+. There's not much even to say about it. Okay, here's oh boy, I sure don't have the Prismatic Piper, but I'm not happy. It's 1 white for Piana Nomad Captain. It's a 2/2. When it attacks, attacking creatures get +1/+1 until end of turn. And then Piana dies because this is a 3/3 vanilla coming in hot. I don't think this card is any good. I think it's probably a D. It's there if you need a commander, and it is better than the Prismatic Piper.
Better than Prismatic Piper should be its own category at this point, because it's I think D is too kind.
Yeah, it feels too kind, but it is in your 99, I would just never play it. But as Command Zone, it is passable.
If you need it.
Right, if you need it. You have no other white legend at all.
Return to Dust, 2 white that says exile target artifact or enchantment. If you cast a spell during your main phase, you may exile up to 1 other target artifact or enchantment.
Well, there's 2 for 1.
Yeah, I'm not mad at this because it exiles also and it hits artifacts and enchantments, and I take this pretty highly, but also it's a little expensive. It's 2 white. Those 2 white pips might be hard to get if you're in 2 or 3 colors, but I'd still say B-.
Yeah. To reiterate, I don't remember if I said this, but 2 colors very likely. 3 colors is possible. There's 3 color commanders at rare. Nothing more than 2 colors at common or uncommon. I think Return to Dust, especially since some of the decks are artifacts or equipments, is going to be a main boardable card. There is no sideboard in this, so you kind of have to main board it or not. I would always play 1. C+.
Yeah. Definitely 1. Don't take multiples.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Shelter. They always put one of these in here. It's 1 and a white for an instant. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Draw a card. I don't like playing this. It feels a little reactive, and you don't know if all these removal spells are going to line up with this or not. If you pass with this up, you might not get to cast it, and then it kind of, I don't know, what do you want to cycle it? I don't like putting these in my deck too much. I think I'm going to just give it a D. Sometimes you'll get blown out by this, but it's not that good.
Yeah, D, maybe D+ at best. I think it's fine, but it's not like good fine. It's like I need to put something into my deck.
Better than a land.
Yeah, it's better than putting
better than
in
your 25th, 27th land.
Yeah, I've tried it once or twice, and it's keeping up that 2 mana, and it's like, oh, didn't need it. Guess that 2 mana went to waste.
That's awkward.
Cool. Spectral Grasp, 1 and a white, that says enchanted creature can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. Enchanted creature can't block creatures you control. It's kind of okay. Like, I think if someone has one big creature and that person's the threat and you have a bunch of little stuff you can chip in, but the fact that it doesn't remove it completely might be a little tough if you're trying to make deals with people or they're trying to also chip in damage.
A lot of the time this is not removal. So this is only a card I would play if my deck is low on removal. I think it's pretty bad. It doesn't stop any activated abilities. It doesn't even force the creature to attack. They can just hold it back and block someone else's creature. This is really not premium at all. I would give it a D or a D- and hope not to play it, but it is not an F because you need some interaction, even if it's bad.
Yeah, bad interaction is better than no interaction. D sounds right.
Yeah. Sunblade Angel, 5 and a white for 3/3 with flying, first strike, vigilance, and lifelink. Oof, man, I don't know how to feel about this. I don't want to pay 6 mana for like a 3/3 flyer. It's got some keywords. If you suit it up, it can be really, really good. Or even if the game is super slow and there's no flyers, it could start gaining you life, and it's good on defense. I just don't. I think good decks are not going to have this card in it. So I think this is a D. I'm really not going to look to play this.
D-. Like, I think I'd rather play a land than that, honestly.
Yeah, I remember in Commander Legends, there was a 2/4 flyer with lifelink that was actually pretty good in the set. This is a better body for more mana, but the set is way more powerful than Commander Legends. I don't think that's going to stack up well.
No, I don't want to play this normally in my decks, and then it's just not a good call.
To quote Mia, just
stop. Sunspear Shikari, 1 and a white for a 2/2 that says as long as it's equipped as first strike and lifelink. It's a good low drop if you're building around that, that equipment deck. But other than that, it's just a 2/2 for 2.
Feels like a C-. I'm not even super thrilled in an equipment deck. Is this the thing you want to equip up? Maybe.
Probably not.
Hopefully not, right? It's pretty mediocre. I like C-. It's just filler, and I'm not super thrilled about it. Let's go to Supply Runners. 4 and a white for a 2/2 dog. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. In the later game, if you're stacking up 5, 6 other creatures, this is like 8 or 9 power. That could be real, but wow. This is real bad in the early game. This is real bad by itself. You need to have a board first. How do you feel about this?
I don't like the fact that you can't just play it and have it be good in general because it's so dependent on having a board. Because I don't want to play this 2/2 for 5 mana and then just put 1/1/1 counter on one creature. That's awful.
I think this card's better than Gavany Silversmith. I don't think it's a ton better. I'll give it a C- though. This feels more playable.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a D+. I am not high on this at all.
Fair.
Swift Response, 1 and a white that says destroy target tapped creature. Maybe, I mean, you need removal. You should take this if you have no removal. I think tap is somewhat relevant because there are certain commanders that, tap to do their abilities. And since it's going to be an attack-heavy meta, you're going to have those creatures attack anyways. But if there's also a really beefy creature that someone's leaving back for blockers, this doesn't hit it. It's not like a one-size-fits-all removal spell. And it's creature. It's tapped creature, which is such a narrow lane.
Yeah, I like C-. It's a card I might play 1 or 2 of. Nothing special. It is just removal. You're going to need some.
I would not play 2 unless I actually had no other removal.
Yeah, if I'm playing this card if I have no removal for sure. I'm not taking it very early. You know, if it comes around to me, sure. Tashar, Ancestor's Apostle, 3 and a white for a 2/2 flyer. Whenever you cast a historic spell, return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is a really good card. I'm curious if the deck's going to line up. It's not going to be super easy to fill your graveyard in white. If you're white-black, maybe white-blue, you can get something going. White-blue maybe is where you want to play this, because blues might have some self-mill, and blue has like Wrath, Capuchin, and so there's other support for historic stuff. But if this card goes off, it is crazy.
I like Teshar a lot, but I'm not sure if the deck here, like, if there is a deck to support him. But I think as a card, it's great. I really wish I could see this play at least once or twice, because I would love to see whether it actually gets off the ground.
Yeah, it's going to be great with creatures that sacrifice themselves. So keep an eye out. I'm going to say B. This card looks really good. Hopefully the deck's there to support him. But if the deck's not there, he's a great card without a home.
Yeah, I think B is good too, especially since it is to the battlefield, not just to your hand. Like, that's pretty powerful, especially with so many ETB triggers.
Oh, lucky. You get to talk about the best card ever.
I was just going to say, like, BC loves this card. Thraben Inspector for 1 white that says, when it enters the battlefield, investigate. And it makes 1 clue, which, if you didn't know, it's an artifact that says, with 2 mana, sack this artifact, draw a card. It's a 1/2. BC loves this. This is a great little 1-drop, you know. I would say don't build around it, but, like, definitely...
Good luck building around this.
Don't build around it, BZ.
I will play any number of this card. I'm not going to take them super highly, but I will always play Thraben Inspectors. They're really good. They're nice, dumb little chump blockers. You can sacrifice them. You get an extra artifact, which is relevant for some decks. You can sack it to draw a card, so it replaces itself. It really does everything. It's just a nice little workhorse. I like C+.
Yeah.
You can't give it higher than that, but it is a really good card.
Yeah, the early drop plus later is just like being able to draw the card like almost immediately later in the game when you have that 2 extra mana to spare. I'm happy to see it.
I love you, Thraben Inspector. Unbounded potential. 1 and a white for an instant. Choose 1. You put a counter on each of up to 2 target creatures, or you proliferate, and you can entwine to choose both for an extra 3 and a white, making this spell 4 white to put 2 counters on creatures and then proliferate. This is going to be tough. I don't know how or why I'm going to play it. If I don't have anything better, maybe. The joke is that you already have counters on your creatures, and it says put a counter on all your creatures. I really am going to give this a D. I don't think this card's good at all. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it's so dependent, and I'm never going to hit the entwine, because why would I pay 4 extra mana to put 2 1/1 counters on something when I could be playing something else that does literally anything better?
If you're not entwining this, I think the card's bad. So you have to entwine it later, but it's not that much better. You get 4 counters, or you maybe get, let's say, best case scenario, like 6 or 7. That's okay. This card just doesn't have, it looks like it's versatile, but it isn't, because all it ever does is make your creatures better. You need to be ahead for this card to do anything.
The rate is awful. I'm not happy to say, like, play this D- is probably where I'd put it.
Sure.
Wanderer's Strike, 4 and a white that says exile target creature, then proliferate.
Look, here's proliferate that does something.
Yeah, the exile's great. 4 and a white's kind of expensive though for an exile effect. But if you don't have a deck for proliferate, that doesn't really matter. So you have to say, are you okay with exiling a creature for 4 and a white at sorcery speed? And the answer, maybe.
I think so. I think you play one of these. It's kind of like it's your mediocre catch-all, but it is going to exile. It's going to take it out. I think it's fine. Proliferate, nice little bonus, but you could play this card in any deck. It's probably a C-.
Yeah, I'd say
a fine rule spell.
Yeah, it's fine.
Really
Expensive, fine.
I might like it better than Swift Response. Swift Response is like, it's an instant and it's cheaper, but it's got some other hoops you got to jump through. This Wanderer's Strike is just like, what's the biggest thing out? Just kill it. Just get out of the game. Time for blue cards now. This first one is a doozy. It's Aether Gale, 3 blue for a sorcery. Return 6 target non-land permanents to their owner's hands. Oh yeah, this card is sick. It is going to be the blue board wipe, break the game wide open, enable attacks. You could bully a player out of the game if that's what has to happen for you to secure a victory or take out your biggest threat. Aether Gale's amazing. I think it's another A-.
I think it's also an A-. I love the fact that you can also target your own stuff too if you want extra ETB triggers, or it's just if you want to get rid of some opponent stuff. I think that's amazing.
It just does everything. It's perfect. It's going to swing the game in your favor every time. It's good in your head. It's good when you're behind.
I really love this. Yeah, definitely take it highly. Body Double, 4 and a blue that says you may have Body Double enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature card in a graveyard. I really like this card.
Really?
I really do. I have it in my Yarok deck normally, but it's as a copy of a creature card in any graveyard. So, if you just kill something real fast on your opponent's side and you go, no, I want it, here we go. I think 4 in a blue, that's like not that bad to copy something.
Yeah, this card is so weird. It's tough for me. I don't think it's that good, but it can be that good. So it looks appealing. But early game, this is a potato. I don't think there's enough self-mill in the deck to make it like the craziest thing ever. I want to give this a D. I mean, you can give it higher. This could be a card that you just put in your deck because in the late game there's enough creatures in the graveyard that it's just going to be something good. My gut says D+.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not consistent unless you have self-mill, and I don't think there's a ton of it.
Like, you can't put this card in your deck knowing what it's going to do.
But mid to late game, especially if you do like chance like I do, I think it's fun.
If you're a gambling person.
I'd say maybe a C. I'd put it at a C.
So even, we're not super thrilled about it. Brightenland the Moonkraken, 6 blue for a 6/8. When it enters the battlefield and whenever you cast a spell with mana value 6 or greater, you may return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. I don't really know what Brightenland's doing in this set. It's the 6-drop commander, but is that really a theme? Just looks like a filler commander. If you don't have one, sure, this is a nice little top end. It's got a big butt, and you might bounce a few things, but it's like uncastable once it dies a single time.
I don't want it. I
don't want it either.
Yeah.
I think it's a D.
D's about right. D- maybe even. I'm not happy.
Yeah, extra hates it.
I don't like it. Counterspell, blue, counter target spell. Love it. One of the best blue pickups you can get. B+.
Amazing.
B+,
yeah.
A-.
This is like going to blow people out of the water. There's some really good counterspells in this set, and it's going to make blue very tricky. I don't want to play my game-ending threat if they've been holding up blue for the whole game, because counterspells are common. There's going to be a counterspell in like every pod, at least. Pretty scary to know that's in the format. A B+ feels good.
Yeah.
Coveted Peacock, 3 blue for a 3/4 flyer. When it attacks, you may go target creature depending player controls. Didn't even know this card existed until I read it when we were looking at the set initially.
I guess.
Below average stats. You have to tap it to attack. You have to get through, assuming you have to make this thing not die, and you get to goad one thing. I don't think it's that great. This synergizes with nothing, right? This really has no synergy at all. I think it's going to be a D+ or C-.
Yeah, D+ is pretty good. If you want to play goad, play red. Don't try and find your goad in blue.
What's the point? I don't know what this card does. I don't get it.
I don't know. Cryptic Serpent, 5 blue. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery in your graveyard. It's a 6/5 body too. If you're building that, spell slinging deck, not bad, but it's vanilla.
Is it not bad if you're building the spell slinger deck?
I mean, 2 blue for a 6/5, but
yeah, is that good?
I don't know. It's vanilla after that, so I guess I'd be happier to have it than maybe absolutely nothing or something. But like,
TBH, this might be the first F that I would give out.
Is this like a true F for you?
So I think outside of blue-red spells, it is completely unplayable, and you shouldn't even try.
Yeah, I agree.
In blue-red spells, you're going to, let's say, turn 5, 6, 7 be on the spot where you're going to enable this to cost 2 or 3. Paying 2 or 3 for a 6/5 on turn 6, 7, or 8 is worthless to me. I don't even care.
Yeah,
it's not going to dominate the board.
I hate the fact that it's a vanilla after the cost
This is a
reduction.
1v1 card. This is a 1v1 card where you go on turn 6, I get to play a 3-drop and my 6/5. Now you're in trouble, opponent. Commander, no one cares. I think this is an F.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you talk me down. Like, F is about good. I was going to give it maybe like a D.
I think this card's stone trash. I think it might be the worst card we've seen. Deep Analysis, though, one of my favorites. 3 in a blue for a sorcery. Target player draws 2 cards. Flashback, 1 in a blue, pay 3 life. It's great if you discard it, if you mill it. It's a 4-for-1 on its face. You draw 2 cards up front and then 2 cards whenever you have mana lying around. I love it. I will probably play as many as I can get.
Yeah, we haven't found that much card draw so far.
Like, this is it. This is the most card draw we've seen so far.
Yeah, we like, plus the flashback, 3 life is not that much when you have 40 to start with, and I'm always happy to just draw more cards. We need them.
Yeah, my heart wants to give this a B. What do you think?
B-?
B. Let's give it a B-. That feels like it might be fairer. I think it's going to be a really played card.
Deranged Assistant, 1 in a blue for a 1/1 that says if you tap it, mill a card, and then add 1 colorless mana.
Hey, self-mill. We were just talking about that.
The first self-mill that we found, I'm not sure if this is a widely supported mechanic, though.
Well, you just saw a reason to self-mill with deep analysis.
Yeah, it's okay. It's like it's a mana dork technically.
It's a mana dork. No, it just is.
Yeah, but also it's like milling the card. It's good in the beginning if that's what you're trying to do. But if you later in the game, since it is a 60 card deck, I'm always worried about that because it's just like,
look, you're gonna get 4 or 5 taps out of this.
Yeah, I mean, no one's gonna use their removal on it.
No, it's just a mana rock. It's a creature that makes mana. What would you give it?
I don't love it. Maybe a C. Maybe C minus.
It's just filler. Yeah, I would just give it a C. It's like a nice little dude. Fills your like graveyard synergy decks. Efficient construction. Guess where this card goes? 3 and a blue. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you get a 1/1 Thopter artifact creature token with flying. It's an artifact deck, so probably a build around. Build around B minus. I think when you start churning out flying creatures, that gets real.
Yeah, the flyers really chip in. They're good little blockers too. And with the artifact deck, it's a great build around.
Sure. Looks good to me.
Yeah. Exclude 2 and a blue. Counter target creature spell. Draw a card.
Oof.
Yeah,
you're trying to cast creature spells in this format? I got bad news for you.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's, you draw a card afterwards too, because 2 and a blue isn't like a bad rate for like a counter spell. And even though it is a little bit narrow because it says creatures only, that's like what you need to do in this format.
There's a lot of creatures in this format.
Yeah, so I think this is good.
I think so too.
I'm happy to take it.
We gave counterspell, we gave it a B? Or maybe, what did we give it, a B+?
B+, A-.
I think this is definitely, yeah, I think B+ for counterspell. This is probably...
B. I think B's good.
B-. It's a little bit narrower in what you can counter, but it's a much better feeling when you counter it because you don't even go down a card.
Yeah, I was going to say the draw card's great, and also the 2 and a blue. It's like only 1 more mana technically than like original counterspell.
And easier to cast.
Yeah, so I would say B, like a flat B is pretty good.
Fair enough. This card's good. You should play it. Just like Factor Fiction, 3 and a blue for an instant. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library, and opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put 1 pile into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. It's always 4 mana, draw 2 at least, but you have the option to draw 3 because most of the time the piles are 3 and 2. They could be 5 and 0 if you're politicking. This card's amazing. I think it's even better than Deep Analysis. It's probably a B+. Your deck is going to love this. It is going to go in literally every blue deck.
Yeah, plus the fact that when you see those 5 cards, you always know the one that you want.
You're like, ooh, here we go.
Yeah, so you're always going to pick the pile with that one you want. But as BZ said, you can politic your way into getting more than that just one. If people are like looking for the board wipe or something, you're like, ooh, I could do that, but in return, give me 1 extra card maybe.
Again, here's gonna be the insane blue decks. You're gonna go Factor Fiction, and there's gonna be a counterspell in the 5 cards, and there's gonna be a Deep Analysis in the 5 cards, and it's like, well, if Deep Analysis is in either pile, even if they take it or don't take it, they still get it basically in their hand with flashback. Counterspell, do I want them to have counterspell? Well, how to make these piles? It's going to be real good. It's going to be real tricky.
I think some opponents are going to take more than a couple seconds to make those piles.
Yeah, blue has like some really high highs with these card draw and counterspells and really low lows with like Cryptic Serpent.
Yeah. Fall from Favor, 2 and a blue, enchant creature. When Fall from Favor enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature and you become the monarch. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step unless that player is the monarch. Not true removal, but I think it's so interesting that it doesn't untap unless that player is the monarch, unlike Palace Jailer where it says that the creature only comes back if you are not the monarch.
It really kind of says the creature never untaps because, let's say Mia, all right, she ices down my creature, my commander, I really need it. It doesn't untap on my turn. Well, all right, I'll hit you with my flyer and take the monarchy back. Well, it's not my upkeep yet. Or it's not my untap step, so it's not going to untap. I haven't done anything to make my creature untap. Next person goes, they just take the monarchy back from me with their Thopter. Well, I'm not the monarch again when I untap, so I don't untap my commander. It just stays locked. This card's great. It makes you the monarch for 3 mana. It's banned in Pauper.
Is it really? I didn't know that. It
ruined the entire format.
I think
Monarch is busted.
I think it's better than it reads because I think it reads kind of unimpressively.
Yeah, the Monarch is what really saves this card. It cantrips. It's a removal spell that cantrips and shuts down commanders.
I'd say C+.
I'd say B.
Really?
That's great.
I was gonna say that's high.
Amazing. It really does.
Yeah. I'd say B-. I think the Monarch really saves
I'd say B. Filigree Attendant, 2 blue for star 3 flying. The star is equal to the number of artifacts you control, and this is an artifact. Here's your vanilla artifact payoff that I am not super excited about. If this is a 6/3, you're really doing it. And are you that excited? What turn is it? You know, I mean, how many flyers are there? Can you afford to leave this back? Can you afford to attack with it? I don't know. Feels like your common level payoff for artifacts that it's not going to win any games, really.
I'm not trying to put in any decks.
No, it feels like a D.
Yeah, D's good. Frantic Search, tuna blue, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, untap up to 3 lands. I really like this. You basically get the mana back immediately. You're getting a couple cards and you're filtering through what you need, and we need card draw so badly.
Yeah, in the early game, this is not card draw. In the later game, turn 8 and plus, this kind of becomes card draw when lands are dead. So if you draw and then can pitch lands, you're kind of up cards. Not literally, but the fact that this is 0 mana, it's going to trigger your spell stuff. I love this card. I would play it. I think it's probably worse in this format than regular Commander, but it's still good.
B-?
C+.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that crazy. It's just going to be good.
I just like the fact that you get the mana back immediately.
Mm-hmm. Ghost of Ramirez de Pietro, 2 and a blue for a 2/3. Oh god, there's so many words on this card for no reason. It can't be blocked by creatures with toughness 3 or greater, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, choose up to 1 target card in a graveyard that was discarded or put from a library this turn. Put that card into its owner's hand. This is for your self-milled decks. I don't think there's a lot of discard going on. Deranged Assistant is going to curve right into the Ghost of Ramirez. I don't think Ghost of Ramirez is that good. It wasn't that good in Commander Legends. I think it's equally supported or lesser than here. Feels like a D+.
I don't want to play this. From what I've seen so far, the self-mill deck isn't coming together.
Not a ton.
Yeah, I just not excited. Ghostly Flicker, tuna blue, exile 2 target artifacts, creatures, and/or lands you control. Then return those cards to the battlefield under your control. I mean, we've seen so many combos with this in normal Commander and that sort. But like with ETB triggers, I'm not mad at this. I am pretty happy to get it in my deck, even if my deck isn't a Blink theme.
This card does technically have combos in this format. There is I think it's Shipwreck Singer, which we'll get to in a second, that brings back an instant or sorcery. So you're going to flicker that with Ghostly Flicker. And you're going to flicker Gilded Lotus. So the Gilded Lotus and the Shipwreck Singer come back, get you Ghostly Flicker. You're even on mana. You just need a 4th card to then pay off casting a spell or having a creature enter, and then you can go infinite. So that's pretty funny. I don't think Ghostly Flicker is that good. I would not play it unless you have some really dumb shenanigans. It seems like a D.
D? I mean, I don't think I'd put it that low.
Are we seeing? They're not even seeing like a Blink deck though.
Yeah, we're not seeing a Blink deck, but I mean, I guess if you have crazy ETVs, yeah, maybe it's just like
it could save a creature from removal. I just think it's a D. I think you're gonna play it if you don't have a lot to do at instant speed.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit higher for me, but I would never put it higher than a C-.
Fair. Okay, this is I don't know why this card's in the set. Goliath Sphinx is 5 blue for an 8/7 flyer, demoted from rare. Not that anyone even noticed because this card was a forgettable rare too. It's really, really big, but it's really, really expensive. I think this is a D-. I really want to give it an F, but I don't think you can put this much stats on a flyer and have it be an F.
I don't want this. Like, I feel like most of the time this is going to be dead in my hand. I will draw this and go, wow, I wish this was anything else.
This is seriously like a D-.
Yeah, this is the level that we were talking about between like Piper and like D-
right.
that it's going to slot into.
Right, and it's not legendary, so it's even harder.
Inga Rune Eyes, 3 and a blue for a 3/3 that says when it enters the battlefield, scry 3. When she dies, draw 3 cards if 3 or more creatures died this turn.
What deck is this? What is this here for? I'm confused by these blue legends.
Yeah, I don't like this. I mean, as you said before, blue has some really high highs, but you have to build around these weird commanders, and I'm not happy to see this. Are you hoping for a board wipe at this point?
Pretty much.
And so I don't want that in the command zone. I'm just scrying a little bit and then just pleading for a board wipe. I don't want that.
No, it feels like a D+.
Yeah.
I was going to say or a C-. No, it feels like a D+.
I'm putting that in the D range somewhere.
Kaho, Minamo is Historian, 2 blue for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 3 instant cards, exile them, then shuffle, X and tap. You may cast a spell with mana value X from among cards, exile with it for free. But not for free because you just paid X, where X is its mana value. So if you go get Factor Fiction, Counterspell, and Ghostly Flicker, you have access to those as long as you leave this untapped and enough mana to cast those spells. And then once you do that, you can't cast them again. They go to the graveyard.
Yeah,
Weird.
I worry about this too because like you're finding, your Counterspell and whatever, and you have to wait an entire turn. So if someone like kills this,
it will feel really bad to go tutor your 3 best things and have this die. I think you have to tutor like one good thing and 2 passable things and have this not look like a threat. That seems okay.
I think it's so, like, unless you are getting the thing that the most of the table needs and you're like, please don't kill this, I think it's such a target.
Looks like a C.
Yeah, C. Looter Il Core for 1 and a blue for a 1/1 that has Shadow. This creature can block or be blocked by only creatures with Shadow. Whenever it deals damage to an opponent, draw a card, then discard a card.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, we need that looting effect, and with Shadow that's built in, you
It takes
are
the
going.
monarchy.
Yeah, you are going to hit.
This thing is a Monarch Fiend. There's almost no creatures with Shadow in the whole set, so just treat it like it's unblockable. It's gonna be great. I would just play this in every deck.
B minus maybe.
Sure, C+, B-. This card's great. Loyal Drake, also very good. 2 and a blue for a 2/2 flyer. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, draw a card. It just basically creates a whole other monarchy, but it triggers right away. If you go your commander on turn 2 or turn 3 and then play this the turn after that, you just start drawing an extra card every turn that you can access on your second main phase because it triggers on combat. I love this thing. It's like a B+.
I think B+ is great. I would actively try to do partner commanders at this point because you know that it just has more chance that you're going to be able to draw that card during your combat step.
Yeah, for sure. This card is great. I would very much have a hard time passing it if I was in blue. I don't really know how you pass it.
Absolutely not. Please take it.
You can have multiple of these on the battlefield at once. That's going to happen.
Yeah. Murder of Crows, 3 blue for a 4/4 flyer. Whenever another creature dies, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. I like this because it's not just your creatures.
It's the blue blood artist.
And I think that looting, obviously so powerful. And especially since there are sack decks, they have to play around this a little bit because you don't want to give the blue player too much card advantage.
Yeah, you're going to sack 3 creatures for a value if they get to draw 3, discard 3. It also is a mace, so you can't get screwed by it on a board wipe and deck yourself. I think this card's actually good. It looks pretty sweet. It looks like maybe a B. Just a nice chunky flower. You don't have to attack with it. Just accrue value.
Yeah, B minus. Like I think it's good. I think that if you put this in your deck, you won't be angry that you drew it or played it.
Yeah, and here's one of the payoffs for that infinite combo that probably won't ever come up. It's Murdering Mystic, 3 and a blue for a 1/5. Casting Instant Sorceries gets you 1/1 flyers. This is a common, so you're going to see it all the time. You're going to have plenty of access to it. Probably a build around, maybe a build around B in your spells decks.
Yeah.
Flying is a big deal.
Flying is such a big deal in this deck. And so, I think build around B. Padim, Console of Innovation, 3 and a blue. Artifacts you control have hexproof. It's also 1/4. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control the artifact with the highest mana value or tied for the highest mana value, draw a card. Again, I think this is a build around card. B minus? Please.
Do I look like Padim? Impress me.
I think that's a pretty good impression.
That's pretty good. Yeah, she's
Build
going to go
around.
in the artifact deck. Build around. I like build around B. The hexproof's going to be annoying.
Yeah, the hexproof is going to be so good, so you just have to kill her first. I think B's good.
Yeah, we're starting to see some blinky things. This is Phyrexian Ingester. It's 7 mana, 3/3. You exile another non-token creature when it enters, and it gets stats based on the creature you exiled. Really just a 7 mana like Meteor Golem. The exile is nice to have. Kind of weird that it's on a blue creature, but we don't care. Ghostly Flicker gets better when you have more cards like this. This is the kind of thing I want to pay 7 mana for, not Goliath Sphinx.
Yeah, I like the fact that it adds the stats to it because 7 mana 3/3 without that effect, and just like exile, that's good. But then you're just like, oh, here's a 3/3. It's like, oh no, it might be a little
6/6 or something.
Yeah, I think that definitely adds to its grade.
I like. I probably like C+. B- is tough at 7 mana.
I would not give it a B minus. I'd say C plus is
Yeah.
good. Portal Mage, Tuna Blue. It's a 2/2 flash when creature. When it enters the battlefield during the declare attacker's step, you may reselect which player or permanent target attacking creature is attacking. I think that's so interesting. Like
Pretty weird.
it's like I think it's rough though because you have to play it during only the attacker phase, but to reselect, I think that could be like the one little damage you need to just kill a different player. It's like, oh no, I'll leave you alive. It's like, no, you won't.
Well, like, when else would you play it?
Yeah, I guess if you
Because it's like, when you're really selecting attacker, you can only really do that on declare attackers.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's just like, that's a weird time.
Oh, you mean like it could enter and force something, but it doesn't? It's like only during?
Yeah, I think it's just weird to put flash on only something that's like, you should basically only do it during the declare attacker step. I think that's just like a weird, little
Okay,
thing.
It's like a weird design. It seems okay. Really doesn't do a lot. It's gotta depend on the situation heavily. I think this is a card I would start in my deck. I'd probably give it a C minus.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I don't think it's great in every deck.
Yeah, there was a card in Baldur's Gate that's reselected all the attackers, and that was rare. That card was sweet. This is going to be worse. Reality Shift is going to be sweet, though. It's 1 in a blue, exile a creature, and its controller manifests the top card of their library. Premium. Give me as many of these as I can play. Exile's great. Instant speed, 2 mana. B.
B's great. I
Put
want
as many of
this.
these as you can. Take so many. Take them all.
Please. Renowned Weaponsmith, 1 in a blue for a 1/3 that says you can tap it to add 2 mana colorless mana. Spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. If you pay blue and tap him, you can search your library for a card named Heartpiercer Bow or Vial of Dragonfire. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. I'm going to treat this like the second ability isn't even there.
Especially since those cards are garbage.
Those
they're in
are-
the set, but they're horrible.
Yeah, I was going to say even if they were good, it might be so hard to find those, but those are so bad. So basically it's a 1 in a blue 1/3 that's a mana dork for artifacts or abilities of artifacts only. Not the
Could be okay.
yeah, could be okay, not the worst rate. 2 colorless for some of the pricier artifacts aren't bad either.
Build around C+.
Yeah,
It's kinda
definitely
like a
build
Kind
around.
of weird Soul Ring in your artifact decks. Resculpt. 1 in a blue for an instant. Exile a creature or artifact. Its controller creates a 4/4 this time. This is a common, and Reality Shift is an uncommon, but I think this card might be better than Reality Shift because it hits more things. Giving away a 2/2 versus a 4/4 I think is kind of negligible, especially since, the 2/2 could be a better creature if they manifested lucky. So I'm going to be taking Resculpt just as highly as Reality Shift. It's also a B.
Yeah, Resculpt is great, and especially since the 4/4s don't have trample or
It's
anything.
a 4/4.
Yeah, so you could chomp it, or and obviously it'll die the board wiper or whatever.
No
So
big deal.
yeah, no, I want so many Resculpts. I want those, and I want counter spells, and I just want them all to protect myself.
And you can hold them all up at the same time.
Reverse Engineer, 3 blue that says Improvise, and your artifacts can help cast it. Each artifact you tap after you're done activating mana abilities pays for 1 of the mana for this, and you could just draw 3 cards. Build around C+.
I would probably just give it a C+. You might just play 5 mana, draw 3, and every deck's going to have some number of artifacts to make this cheaper. Just seems okay. Seems like as good as Wanderer's Strike is as a removal spell, this seems like that amount of card draw. You're going to play it.
Yeah, maybe I'd put it a little bit higher than if it's a build around. Because if you have the artifacts and it's just like blue, draw 3.
Kind of. Blue, like tap 3 creatures. I think it's just a C+. Like, overall, it's pretty good.
Yeah, we need the card draw.
Yeah, Rise from the Tides. Not sure how to feel about this one. It's 5 and a blue for a sorcery. Create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token for each instant and sorcery in your graveyard. What is the number you want with this, though?
Oh,
When do you feel happy? they're tapped.
for 6 mana?
Yeah.
God, I am happy to play this after a board wipe, I guess.
No.
But like
What's
how
the
many
number? Yeah.
creatures?
What do you want?
God, as many as possible. But this is still all. I don't want this card.
This seems like your blue-red spells deck didn't all the way come together, and you need a payoff. And here is technically a payoff.
Yeah, it seems kind of also like a Hail Mary because it's like, oh God, please save me. There's so many creatures around, but they're tapped.
7 tapped 2/2s.
So it's like,
Does that
please
sound that good?
please don't hit me, and also please let the creatures like block all the other creatures that I'm trying to block.
They're not relevant enough to kill anybody. You're never going to kill anybody with this card. It's just like make jump blockers for next turn, or maybe best case scenario, you throw them all at one person and get through like 10 damage. It's just, I think it's a D.
No, yeah, D- even. I don't want this.
Yeah, we'll see.
Shipwreck Dowser, 3 blue for a 3/3 that has prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. When it enters the battlefield, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand.
Oh yeah, this is Shipwreck Dowser, not Singer. This is the one that combos with Ghostly Flicker and Gilded Lotus.
I'm pretty happy to see. I mean, this is like a better payoff than actually having like the last one because it helps when you have more instants or sorceries in your graveyard because you could just get them back. And the prowess isn't bad. You're going to be playing those Spellslinger decks with this isn't anyways. So it's just going to have a little bit of extra stat. But getting the instant or sorcery back is really helpful. I'd give this maybe a build around B-, C+.
I think this card just goes in any blue deck. There's just gonna be enough blue cards. You saw Factor Fiction,
Yeah.
Resculpt, Counterspell. So probably just a C overall. I don't know if it's quite built around because I play this in most blue decks. This is a card that's gonna be pretty good. Here's the thing: end step, turn 4, end step, Factor Fiction. One of the cards I reveal is this. How are you gonna split those piles? Because if you split them 2 and 3, I'll just take the Shipwreck Dowser pile and then get Factor Fiction back. But if you separate them 4 and 1 with Dowser in a lone pile, I'll just draw 4 cards. It's brutal.
Yeah, I think this makes the piles definitely brutal, but also, even if you don't have Foth in your deck, even just getting back a counterspell, I'm happy.
This card's fine. Tetsuko Umezawa, Fugitive, 1 and a blue for a 1/3. Creatures you control with power or toughness 1 or less can't be blocked, and it just leaves me wondering, what is blue doing? Blue, there's some artifact commanders. Definitely get that. Aside from that, I have no idea what's going on with blue. But this is good evasion for your little baby Mir tokens and your Thopter tokens. They're all going to connect. Totally solid. It's not, I guess maybe it's a token commander, but it's blue tokens? Whatever. There's plenty of decks to build. There's a lot of different routes to go. This is going to be a good card in basically any deck.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd make this my commander, but if I have tokens in my deck, I think I might throw it in the 99.
Feels like a B. I think it's going to be a pretty solid card. It's going to get through the monarchy and all that stuff.
Yeah, maybe. I was going to say, the fact that it counts itself, I think, is what kind of saves it to an extent. So I'd say B's pretty good, too.
It looks good.
Thrix the Sudden Storm, 3 blue for a 4/5 Flash Flyer. Spells you cast with mana value 5 or greater cost 1 generic mana less to cast and can't be countered. I think
like a big mana blue thing going on. Is that blue-green? Is that what that is?
I don't know what they're trying to build in this entire thing. Because, how many super big mana value, blue spells that we found so far?
The ones we found sucked.
Yeah, what, the vanilla?
Goliath, Sphinx, and Cryptic, whatever, Snake guy are bad.
Yeah. I think this would be good if you have a couple, Aether Gale? What is it? That's what it's called, right?
I mean, Aether Gale's 5 mana, though.
Yeah, this is 5 or greater.
Okay, so 5 or greater costs 4. So, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so
and
5...
it can't be countered.
Right. So that's going to start being a little tricky. You're right. I like that. I was thinking 1 higher. But, yeah, Thrix is okay. It's just raw stats. It's a big flyer that has flash, and you're probably going to untap with it. And then if you do, you get to save a couple mana on stuff, and you get to win the counter war if there's a lot of blue decks. Seems fine. It's just confusing because I guess there's a blue 6 or greater, 5 or greater mana deck out there.
Yeah, I think C's fine, maybe C-, but also it's I don't think it'll be kind of inconspicuous at times, so it won't eat that removal.
Yeah, the white commanders, I was like, all right, artifacts, equipment, tokens, I get it. +1/+1, counters, okay, great. And then you see Tromo Kratos, 5 blue for an 8/8. It has hexproof unless it's attacking or blocking, and it can't be blocked unless all creatures defending player controls block it. What is this? What deck is this? What is this for? I don't know. It's just a really big thing. I think that the hexproof is not as relevant as it looks because if this is not attacking or blocking, it's basically an enchantment. It doesn't do anything. So you got to be sending it in the red zone. I don't think it's good.
I don't think it's good either.
I think it's another one of those D- cards. I'm not going to play this in my command zone if I don't have to.
Yeah, the fact that it's a commander, this feels like just a common that can't even be a commander. It just feels like a top-end filler.
It's like Goliath Sphinx.
Yeah, and the fact that it's but this can be your commander if you want. No, please don't.
If the dust settles on a weird board state, this can be good. I just don't think, this could be good on a board state, right? This could be good in a game. But the problem with Tromo Kratos that makes it not be included in my decks is I can never get from this card is not in my deck to this card is in my deck. I can't make that jump. There's going to be so much better stuff competing with this.
I think the fact that you can say, this card can be good in my deck as, the biggest draw to it speaks for itself.
Yeah, well, it could be good.
Yeah,
it might
D-.
not be a dumpster fire.
D- definitely. Vizier of Tumbling Sands, 2 and a blue for a 1/3 that if you tap it, you can untap another target permanent. And it cycles for 1 and a blue, so you could discard this card to draw a card for 1 and a blue. When you cycle it, untap target permanent. So,
Mana dork.
Yeah. You're just trying. I think it's good if it sticks around, and if you cycle it, it's fine, but that seems kind of like if I have to. Cycling's never a bad thing to have in your deck.
Basically cycles for 1 mana if you untap a land.
Yeah, but I'm, again, not excited.
No, I don't know what this is particularly doing that's super quirky. Seems like a C.
Yeah, see, I don't know what strength it's trying to play to.
Yeah, me neither. Whirler Rogue, though, this card's amazing. It's 2 blue for a 2/2. ETB, you get 2 Thopters with flying, so you get 3 bodies for 4 mana. 2 of them have flying. You can tap 2 untapped artifacts you control. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. This is going to be one of the best blue uncommons. It's going to end games. You won't even know until it's too late how dumb Whirler Rogue is. Well, you might know because you're in the podcast that tells you everything you need to know about the set. It just ruins combat for everybody. So your creatures obviously are always going to be unblockable if you want. Your best thing, you can slam in for a bunch of damage. Take the Monarchy. The Thopters are really good at blocking and attacking. But the thing that is really annoying is when other people attack your opponents, you just tap your Thopters or Mana Rocks or Mirrors to make them unblockable. You just screw with your opponents. They're like, wait, what? You can do that? And you're like, yeah, you can do that. It makes any creature unblockable. This card is, I think it's an A-. I would take this card over basically anything.
Yeah, I think B+ for me, but it's definitely great, especially since there are so many cards that give Monarch in this set. That card draw is really going to come in handy, especially when you need it. And the fact that political deals don't really work after a certain point. If you go, oh, I want to attack you, and you could just run your thing into mine, or, just like...
It's not a deal.
You know what
player
I'm saying?
B, I'm player A, right? Player B attacks player C with a 5/5. I just go, make it unblockable. I basically just dealt 5 damage with somebody else's creature.
I think it's better than it reads.
I think it's amazing. I think it's about as good as Aether Gale. And if you're in blue, I think you just don't pass either of those cards ever.
Yeah, I want to put this in my deck.
I'm super excited.
I want to try this, honestly.
People are going to get got by Whirler Rogue, and then you're going to know that BZ was right, and you should have taken it.
Okay. Windcaller Aven. 4 blue for a 4/3 flyer that you can cycle for 1 blue mana. When you cycle it, target creature gains flying until end of turn. It seems kind of like more of like a gotcha than anything else.
What a weird filler card.
Because I don't want to pay 4 blue for a 4/3, but the cycling, it replaces itself, and then you could give a creature fly. So it seems like somewhat like a bargaining chip. If you're like, oh yeah, you could sneak in damage and do this, or if it's Monarch and you want to give it to yourself. But it's such a weird card. I'm not excited to play this anywhere.
This is Whirler Rogue at home. I think it'll end up being a pretty playable card because it cycles for almost nothing. So you could have 3 of this card in your deck, and if it's in the weird late game spot and you need a dumb flyer, there you go. But otherwise, you just cycle this all day, get some basically combat tricks out of it. I think it's fine. I think it's probably a C.
Yeah, I was gonna say C-.
Let's go to another C. This is Windrider Wizard, and he's 2 and a blue for a 2/2, and it flies. And whenever you cast an instant sorcery or wizard, you can loot. Guess which deck this goes in? The blue-red one, or just kind of whatever deck. Like, you're gonna have some instant sorceries anyway. It just gets residual value as the game goes on. Nothing special. Feels like a C, like I said.
Yeah, it's fine. It goes in those decks.
Nice little common. Sure.
Yeah, not mad. Witching Well for 1 blue. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2. And if you pay 3 and a blue and sack it, you draw 2 cards. I think the fact that it comes down early is pretty nice, and it's an artifact. And then just drawing 2 cards for 4 mana. I mean, we were doing that with Deep Analysis anyways.
Yeah, and the Reverse Engineer, this is 5 mana to draw 5. 5 mana to draw 3, just like Reverse Engineer is, but you can pay it in installments. Totally okay. You get an extra little scry 2 out of it. Well, I guess it's draw 2. So it's 5 mana draw 2. Reverse Engineer is 5 mana draw 3. That is clarified now. But yeah, I think it's a little bit worse. It's probably C.
Yeah, I'm fine with it in my deck, but there are other things I'd probably play. C sounds about good.
Definitely do not take it highly. Let's go to Zahid, Djinn of the Lamp. 4 blue for a 5/6, but not really, because you can pay 3 and a blue and tap an artifact to cast him instead. And he's got flying. Really kind of like, man. I get that this one's an artifact, but it's still just like the weirdest selection of blue creatures in the set. They're so weird. Here's another one. It's good stats. You could beat people up early game. He's kind of hard to kill because you pay 4 to cast him, and then next time you can pay 6 to get him, and 6 mana for a 5/6 can still impact the board. Once you get to 8, but I think you can do stuff. It's probably a C.
Yeah, C. It's like in the command zone, it's weird.
It's weird.
But like with the stats, it's it definitely chips in.
Like this set has some really good commons and uncommons, and I think this format's going to be great. And it's definitely a high-powered set. When we get to the rares and mythics, you're going to be like, what were those blue ones? What?
Yeah, just the commanders in this are really throwing me for a loop. I thought with the straight power in this set, it'll be a little bit higher, and then we get these like random assortment.
The black ones it's going to get better. The blue ones were just weird. The white ones were fine. The blue ones were weird as heck. I think we're going to get back to normal with the black cards.
The first card on our list is Bastion of Remembrance, 2 and a black for an enchantment that says, when it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. I mean,
yeah.
This is playing into the sack theme. This works with like tokens. I think this is pretty good.
I think this card is actually Not a builder on at all. I think it's a pretty much an auto include in every black deck, and I would take as many of these as I could. This is like a residual burn. It gives you a chump blocker. You can use it. Almost every black deck can use it anyway. Amber loves this card. She's purring right now because she thinks, I'm going to take this card because people are going to pass it to me when they shouldn't.
B plus, B.
B plus. I think it's going to actually be a lot better than it reads. This card's really good in this type of environment for sure. Cabal Patriarch, our first legend, 3 black for a 5/5. 2 and a black, sacrifice creature. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. 2 and a black, exile creature card from your graveyard. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Clearly, this is the sacrifice fodder. Fill your graveyard up with the creatures you just sacrificed, and you can kill some creatures. But, oh my god, it's so expensive. You got to tap out for this. Then you got to untap with this. And then you're only going to get an okay ability. And you're not really... Like, if you play this on turn 6 and then untap with it, are you going to hold up the ability? Maybe not. It's kind of a big, giant mana sink.
Yeah, it seems like if you don't have any other ways to sacrifice in your sacrifice deck, he's fine in your command zone, but again, it's so expensive. I'm not going to want to spend it on that when I can use it for most other things.
Might be like a C-. Going to be a little clunky, but if you can get him going and get mana, it'll be good.
I'd say maybe even D+. Like,
yeah, keep it in the C range. I think I'm okay playing that guy.
I don't think I would. That's just too much mana for me. Cadaver Imp, 1 black for a 1/1 flyer. It says when he enters the battlefield, you can return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. I like this. I like this especially in the sack decks, but in general, I would put this in most black decks, maybe almost all black decks, actually.
Just any black deck.
Yeah, because, that's just your Ewit in black.
Yep, just a black Ewit gets your best creature back. Perfectly good, especially when the power band of your deck is wider. Like, you can get back your best creature again. It's going to be really backbreaking for opponents. C+.
Yeah, I was going to say B-, but because
it didn't go that far.
Wow. But yeah, it slots into a lot of different types of decks.
Yeah, Carrier Thrall. I'm going to slot into the sacrifice fodder decks. 1 and a black for a 2/1. Dies into a 1/1 Eldrazi Scion. It's got 2 bodies, 2 instances of being sacrificed. The last one even gives you some mana. Perfect, like, filler 2-drop creature. It'll help accelerate you later in the game. Maybe it chump blocks. Maybe it gets you some value.
I like the fact that it dies into a mana dork that you can sack immediately if you need it, and you don't have to wait to untap with it either.
If this isn't a C Pawn of Limited, I don't know what is.
This is a hard C.
Hardest C.
Carrion Grub, 3 and a black for a 0/5 that says it gets +X+0, or X is the greatest power among creature cards in your graveyard. When it enters the battlefield, mill 4 cards. I think that just filling your graveyard with this isn't bad. I'm not counting too much the +X+0.
Well, it makes it not a wall, right? It gives it some power. It's probably gonna be like a 4/4 or 4/5.
Yeah, but I'm not playing to that. That's not the main reason why I'd pick this. I would just get it to get some cards in my graveyard.
Yeah, I'm not building around the thrall, or I'm not building around the what is it?
The grub.
The grub. I'm building around the grub. The grub is helping me self-mill.
Yeah. C.
C. It seems like it's just going to be a little role player. You're going to have to mill. Some of these decks really want full graveyards. Like with cards like Corpse Augur, 3 and a black for 4/2. When it dies, you draw X and you lose X, for X is the number of creature cards in target player's graveyard. Well, if you're the target player and you got 3 or 4 or 5 dudes dead, this is a really good card advantage engine. You just got to be able to sack it.
Yeah, and especially if you can get back with the bat or with the imp, whatever we did prior.
And if you target yourself, this dying counts itself in the graveyard.
Yeah. Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, if it's the only creature that dies, if it's the only creature in your graveyard, when it dies, you still get to draw 1.
I'm pretty happy about that. And, the draw X, lose X, that's just Black's card draw payoff. I'm fine with that, but staple to a body that we can just recur, pretty happy.
Happy.
Demon's Disciple, 2 and a black.
Give it a grade. It's probably a B.
B-, but
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Demon's Disciple, 2 and a black for a 3/1 that says when it enters the battlefield, each player sacks a creature or planeswalker. I like this, especially since it does get around the hexproof or the it's just especially if someone only has one creature, they spent all their mana to put out that one creature. You go, nah, you can get rid of that. Also, everyone else sack something too.
Yeah, so there are a fair share of tokens and fodder and mirror tokens and Eldrazi running around, but oh my god, this has some potential to just wipe people off the face of the earth. They tap out for their 4-drop. Any blue commander they tap out for, then you just play this and you go, bye bye. I would definitely start this in my deck. I'm okay with the fact that it's not going to be the most high impact every time, but it has enough. Like the ceiling isn't that hard to get to. Like sniping one person's 4-drop, pretty easy to do.
I like the fact that it also says each player too. So if you do like if you're struggling to find that sack outlet, you
There
can
you
put
go.
this down and you automatically have a way to kill one of your own creatures.
Totally. I think this is a C. I don't think this is broken. But there's going to be a lot of situations where you play it and you go, "Whew, that was good."
Yeah, definitely not broken, but it hits multiple things, and I'm always happy about that.
Yep, Dread Drone. This is a weird one. I don't know why this is here. 4 and a black for a 4/1. ETB, you get 2 0/1 Eldrazi's that sack for a mana. So I guess it creates some like death triggers, kind of ramps you a little bit in black. Kind of a cute little inclusion. I'm starting to like it a little bit more. So 3 bodies for 5 mana. 4/1 can trade up a little bit. I think it's a C.
Yeah,
I play this card.
yeah. I was gonna say C, C minus, but yeah, maybe more towards C because
Starts getting good with like Bastion of Remembrance.
it does give you those little mana.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dread Return, 2 black black. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. But you can flash it back if you sack 3 creatures. I mean, this is just like the payoff you're looking for.
I love this card so much.
It's a
common.
it's a good one. At common, that's great. And just sacking 3 creatures, especially if you have some little tokens or something to get back your best thing to the battlefield directly, get that ETB trigger. That's great.
I'm starting to see some blue-black, like, I'm starting to see, like, those blue creatures where you're like, why is this 100 mana? Why is this here? This blue-black sort of, like, self-mill, Factor Fiction, Derange Assistant, the Grub, and then you Dread Return a 7-drop. Maybe even Goliath Sphinx. I still don't think it's that good. But maybe even that. And then you start getting, like, a lot of mana advantage. If you have 3 Dread Returns in your deck, it's going to be a sweet deck.
Yeah, don't put Goliath Sphinx in just because you have Dread Return in your deck.
I mean, maybe. If you have enough ways to discard it.
Yeah, I'm not saying like, oh, I have Dread Return. I am definitely putting the Sphinx in.
That's still the last resort.
But yeah, I'm always happy to take Dread Return.
I like it at B.
B's good, especially since even if you don't have the sacrifice 3 creatures for the flashback, you still have 4 mana. Return your best creature to the battlefield immediately.
Yeah, this is the stuff that makes me like the Cabal, Patriarchs, and whatnot. Drown in Sorrow is an interesting one. 1 black for a sorcery. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn, and you scry 1. They've tried this before. There was the non-elf to get -2/-2, and this card's obviously way better than that. So it's like a little mini board wipe. I think this is one of those D cards that you play if you don't have a lot of removal or you don't have any board wipes. But as soon as I do have those cards, I just don't need this.
-2/-2 is good in the early game, but it hits so few things later in the
You've
game.
seen all the little dorks that this is going to snipe, even Dread Drones and stuff like that. So play it if you don't have board wipes or, lots of removal, but otherwise you don't need it.
Yeah, I'd say maybe if you're trying to do like the most aggro deck ever too, if you're just like, please let me get in damage, please, like, but don't pick this highly. I'd say D+. Exsanguinate. X black. Each opponent loses X life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. I didn't this needed a reprint because it was pretty expensive.
I'm pretty sure this is just dope, right?
Yeah, because at any point you can just pay into X, and bare minimum it's like your extort trigger type deal. But if you later in the game,
Don't do it for 1.
Yeah, I'm just saying bare minimum. I'm just saying
Bare minimum, it's
the
actually
worst.
for 0.
Shut up. But later in the game, if you have all that mana sitting around, especially if you have those little like Eldrazi guys that sack for mana, you could get a couple of death triggers off of it, and then also each opponent loses that much extra life. I think this is cool. I want to play this.
It's not going to kill people, I don't think, but it is going to, later in the game, you're going to drain them for 6, whittle everybody's life down, and you're going to go up 18 for that. It seems like a pretty good card. I don't want to go too ham and give it an A- or anything, but I think I'm going to give it a B or B-.
I think B- is good because I was almost going to say B-, C+.
Yeah, I think you're going to be happy to play it.
But I think that it can get you back into the game when you thought you might be out for it.
Right. This next card might just be better, though. It's Extinguish All Hope. 4 black, sorcery, destroy all non-enchantment creatures. Spoiler alert, that's basically everything. So this is just almost a straight-up board wipe in black. Maybe you can even have an enchantment creature, and you get the only creature that survives. Less likely, but still, 6 mana damnation. Great. I think it's an A-, and I think you should play it a lot.
Yeah, we need those board wipes, so I think B+ A-.
This is what you play every time, and then Drown in Sorrow is if you can't find this or the next card.
Yeah, Feast of Succession. 4 black, black. All creatures get -4/-4 until end of turn. You become the monarch. I think the -4/-4 is definitely good. It hits a lot more things than
Most things, yeah.
Yeah, but the becoming the monarch, 2 extra card draw for free, and then maybe you'll even keep it for another round.
Because you just swiped a bunch of creatures off.
Yeah, so, you'll be the only one who maybe has a creature in the end if you have that much more mana. But keeping that monarch for 2 turns, 2 cards plus board wiping, I think this is great.
It wipes the board entirely less, but there's a lot of room for upside. I'd still give it an A-, and I'd still take this card every time.
Yeah, A-, B+ still for me, but I would take it.
Yep, Feed the Swarm. Nice little removal spell. Destroy a creature or enchantment an opponent controls. You lose life equal to its mana value for 2 mana. Sorcery speed. I think this is going to be like the bread and butter type removal spell. I'll always play 1 or 2. Losing life isn't that big of a deal. Looks like a C.
I'm happy to take Feed the Swarm, especially, some enchantments too, not usually the thing that we're aiming for. But losing life, I'd rather lose life than and have a creature off the board. Final Parting, 3 black, black for sorcery that says, search your library for 2 cards, put 1 into your hand and the other in your graveyard, then shuffle. I think the fact, the tutors in this set is, really interesting.
Don't know how to feel about it.
I don't think I love it in limited set, but it's one of the things that makes the power creep, or not the power creep, but the power level of this set so much higher than sets previously.
Yeah, so this is a bad rate if the cards in your deck are of the same power level. Goodbye, Amber.
Bye.
I'm going to give it a build around, because I think if you have a card in your deck like Craterhoof Behemoth, which is in this set, or maybe even Exsanguinate or something like that, or some kind of crazy reanimation target where you can go put that card in your graveyard and Dread Return in your hand, or the other way around, whatever. I think you can really get some value out of it. I will give it a build around B, but if your best card in your deck is not that good, never play this.
Yeah, build around B, B-. You need targets. You
Yeah.
need to know what you're looking for.
I think I would want a board wipe and some kind of bomb. But maybe that happens all the time. Who knows? Gonti, Lord of Luxury, is going to be probably one of the better black commanders. It's 2 black, black for a 2/3 Death Touch. ETB, you're going to steal a card from the top of your opponent's deck, and you can cast it forever for rainbow mana. Pretty good. The Death Touch body is a little bit annoying. You can throw it in the graveyard if it dies, try to reanimate it, or just send, okay, whatever, I traded with your awesome creature. Now it's back in the command zone. I'll play it again and draw another card.
I really like
seems
Gonti.
good.
I really, really do, because it's the Death Touch, honestly, one Death Touch body stops so many people just from swinging into you, and that's
you'll gain some pseudo life.
yeah, that's a deterrent, and then just also taking the top card of the library. I think casting other people's stuff's pretty fun.
Yeah, and not as commander, I'll just throw this down and block with it all day.
Yeah, I'm as a body definitely great, but also as a commander, not bad.
I think it's a B, maybe even a B+. That might be pushing it. It's a B.
I think B is good. Gormand, 4 black, black for a 5/5 that says as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. It's a flammable body, and when it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature.
This is the kind of 6 drops I want.
Yeah. Also, the fact that you can get this back from the graveyard and you don't have to sack a creature because you won't cast it. The Flying Trample is really nice. But yeah, just sacking each opponent sacking a creature doesn't even hit you this time. So it's only if you only if you cast it, it hits you. And if someone just has their commander or their big 6/7 drop, they're gone. Their mana's wasted.
Goliath Sphinx like a fool. Show them what's up. Yeah, this card is great. I think it's probably a B+. It's just a big giant creature that gets you a 3/1.
Yeah, I think this is a B+. I'm happy
Seems
about
solid.
this.
Let's go to Gorax the Tomb Shell. You didn't know this card existed, and you won't lie to me because you don't know it. 6 black, black for a 4/4. Additional cost to cast it. You may exile any number of creature cards from your graveyard. It costs 2 less for each one you exile. Death Touch. When it attacks or dies, you choose one of those cards that were exiled at random, and you put it into your owner's hand. So it's got Delve, and it can cheat commander attacks. So it's not actually 8 mana. It's really more 4 every time, and it kind of draws some cards.
Yeah, I do like the fact that it has the Delve, and it's just, if this comes back, will it count if it dies?
It doesn't
and then it comes
see
back?
the other pile.
Yeah.
It's new piles every time.
So that's a little bit rough because it's on attack, right?
Attack or dies. So when they kill it, you just get a card.
Okay, the dies makes it a lot better. Because I was going to say, if you have to wait for it to attack, it becomes infinitely worse.
Right, but they go, well, if I kill it, they're going to get it back anyway. So this might survive a turn and then attack and die. You're like, sweet.
Yeah, the potential is definitely great. But casting it, if you have an empty graveyard, it's rough.
Well, you definitely just don't
Yeah.
even bother. It's probably a build around in that case. Build around B. Sure.
Yeah, definitely a build around B.
Cheap 4/4 that has card advantage tied to it.
Yeah. Heartless Act, 1 in a black. For an instant, you can choose one. Destroy target creature with no counters on it, or remove up to 3 counters from a target creature. This is one of those removal spells where, like, if you have to play it, sure, but I don't really want to play it because that's so weirdly specific, because it's like against the counters deck, you're not going to be doing that much, but a lot of decks aren't running counters on them either, so maybe it is just destroy target creature for 2 mana, 1 in black.
If there wasn't a counters deck, I'd say this is an auto include and you play as many copies as you can get. There's going to be a lot of counters just running around. If your opponent, any deck with white or green in it, of any combination, can have counter cards that might nullify this. So I play one. It's closer to like Swift Justice or whatever that one was
Yeah.
than it is like Resculpt, but I think it's still a good card. It's probably a C+.
Yeah, I mean, if we had a sideboard, I'd say maybe a sideboard card.
Yeah, too bad.
Yeah, I'd say C.
All right, Izareth the Awakener, 1 black for a 3/3 Death Touch. A lot of Death Touch commanders. Whenever this attacks, you can pay X, and if you do, you return a creature card with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield with a corpse counter on it. If it would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. I don't hate it, but the only problem is you got to get through this 3/3 with kind of like no evasion. It's got Death Touch, so they're not going to trade with a 7/7, but they're still going to trade with it.
Yeah, you have to wait for the attack, and you have to pay the mana, and it's fine.
Yeah, it just looks like a C+. Do we have to say much about it? It's like you can get card advantage, but you need to keep it around.
It's fine, yeah. It's not something I'd use removal on, but it's also not something I'd be happy to play. Or excited, at least, I should say. Legion Vanguard, 1 in a black, 2/2. If you pay 1 and sack another creature, he explores, which means you can reveal the top card of your library. Put that card into your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Then put the card back or put it in your graveyard. I think that's like that plays to the Heartless Act prior, because it's like, oh, the white and green makes it so counters are running around. This puts black counters too?
Even less targets?
Yeah, so I think that makes the other card just even worse at this point.
Like 0.1% worse.
I know, but still, it's like, the fact that we're even putting black counters, it's a good sack outlet, because 1 mana, sack whatever other creature that isn't this. That's definitely good, because you don't even have to tap it. It can come down immediately and pay 1.
And if it's a land, you just kind of like draw cards off top of your deck. You can mill. You can throw Dread Return in your graveyard to basically like draw a spell from it. This is just a little explorer.
I like this. I think this is not that bad in like most other decks, as long as you have the fodder to sack.
Yeah, I'm gonna call him the little explorer, and we can move on to Lotless Giant, which is
what grade?
Oh, it was a C.
Okay.
So fair. Lotless Giant, 6 in a black for a 6/5, enters the battlefield. It deals 1 damage to target opponent for each creature card in your graveyard. This, I think, is going to be one of the go-to reanimation targets. You're going to play this 3 times, and your opponent's going to take 18 damage and die. And then you're going to be able to leverage this against other people. It's going to be sweet. I'm excited, and I want to give it a build around C+.
Yeah, I think build around C+, even B- is good. I've seen this do some work in the NN cube.
Mm-hmm.
My friend actually recorded it like 3 or 4 times to kill us all, and he had like 10 cards in his graveyard, and we all had really high life totals too.
That's doable.
It adds up.
You're going to be milling with all these cards. There's the grub. There's Mire Triton that we'll get to. It's going to be pretty easy to fill your graveyard and reanimate this.
Yeah, with a few Dread Returns, I'm super happy to have this.
I'm going to try to build that deck with like 3 Dread Returns, 3 Lotless Giants.
And then, yeah, a couple sacks.
And then profit.
Yeah. Loyal Subordinate. 2 in a black, 3/1 with Menace. It can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, if you control your commander, each opponent loses 3 life.
That starts adding up.
I like this. I like this a lot, and especially if I had a couple copies and like my commander out, that would definitely add up. It's at uncommon too, so it's definitely doable to try and get more than 1 copy. But I would include this into any black deck.
Totally
as a 3-drop.
reasonable to play your commander on turn 2 and then play this and just start draining. 9 damage divided each time. It's real. I like this card a lot. I would think it's probably one of the just the better black cards, just generically good, like B.
Yeah, B's good. I like the lieutenant mechanic because, if you control your commander, do X or Y.
Sure.
And it's just...
It's like, I will, yeah.
Yeah, I thank you, I will.
Yeah. Hey, Mire Triton, I just talked about it. It's 2 mana, 2/1 Death Touch, enters the battlefield, you mill 2 and you gain 2. Totally fair. I love this card. It's like bread and butter. I'll play as many as I can get in my mill decks. Just C+ probably.
Yeah, your graveyard
deck's
deck's...
super nice.
Yeah, graveyard deck's good. Yeah, happy to have it.
You can just kind of play it in any deck, really.
Yeah. Nadier's Nightblade, 2 and a black for a 1/3. Whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. I think, yeah, definitely a build around.
Black has all these ways to close out the game. Did we see any in blue? Black is like, oh yeah, Exsanguinate and Bastion of Remembrance and like all this stuff, and the Nadier's Nightblade. Oh yeah, Lotless Giant, and blue's like Goliath Sphinx.
I like the fact that it's not just a creature token, but it is just a token.
Treasures, clues, artifacts, whatever.
I really like that, honestly. I would say build around B-, C+.
Maybe just a build around B- sounds good. You gotta have a lot of tokens. You can't just put this in a deck.
Yeah, but the fact that each one sacks, each sack is like lose 1 and gain 1. Like,
Yeah, the Eldrazi, Scions, and Spawns will do work with this.
yeah, I like this for build around.
All right, Phyrexian Gargantua, 6 mana, 4/4, ETB, draw 2 and lose 2. Sure, like this is if it's fillery, I'm not. It's not always possible to just tap out for a 4/4 with 6 mana. So I'd always play 1. Looks like a C.
Yeah.
Don't get too excited. It's kind of like this set's gonna make this card not as good as it looks.
Yeah, it's just the fact I'm less hyped about this, like maybe C-, but that's just because I know how powerful this set gets.
Yeah, it could get nasty. I think C is fine or C-. You're gonna play this some amount of the time. It's not gonna sit on the sidelines. It's cool.
Yeah. Priest of the Bloodright, 3 black for a 2/2 that says when it enters the battlefield, create a 5/5 black demon creature token with flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 2 life. I mean, good immediately. Like, I would hope to find a way to kill this, like sack it.
Maybe a sacrifice.
Yeah, to sack it, because then you get that free 5/5. It's not. I think in the right deck, it's definitely good. In the sack deck, it's amazing. But if you're trying to put this in a normal deck or just like a deck that doesn't have sack outlets, and you're like, please swing into this, please block this, I'd be like, no, I'll take the 2 damage to watch you take 2 more. Like, I don't know.
I don't like this card. Would you play a 5 mana 5/5 flyer?
No.
This is worse than that, right?
Yeah.
Like the sack decks, yes, you're gonna sacrifice it, but if you can't, which is possible, you might take some damage, which kind of negates all the value you get from sacrificing it. You just get a 5/5 flyer. I think there's like a C-
Yeah,
or a D+ even.
I was gonna say maybe build around a tiny bit higher, but I'd say even a build around
But it's
C.
like it's
so
a build around 5/5.
Yeah.
It's a 5/5 that's gonna hurt you unless you kill the thing, the 2/2.
Yeah. I'm not super hyped about this.
Nah, it doesn't look that special. Read the Bones though is 2 and a black for a sorcery, scry 2, lose 2, draw 2. I like Read the Bones. It's near and dear to my heart. I don't think it's that great. I think you're gonna play some card draw. Probably always play one of these. Just looks like a C. Don't flood your deck with Read the Bones, but it's okay.
Yeah, if you need that card draw, it's definitely good.
You will need card draw, so.
Yeah, I'm never angry about this, but I'm never.
Right, like I'll play 1 Gargantua and I'll play 1 Read the Bones. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it'll get you the card advantage that you need. Reassembling Skeleton, 1 and a black for a 1/1 that says if you pay 1 and a black, you can return him from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. I mean, if you need to sack creatures to get your payoff, this is a good one because it can keep coming back for 2 mana.
Over.
But other than that, doesn't.
Well, there's no other words on it, so it can't really do much else.
Yeah, you that 1/1 vanilla. Other than that.
Yeah, if you could sacrifice it, you're in business because you're just gonna get repeated triggers like with the Legion Little Explorer man. You could just explore for 3 mana, like over and over and over. That's pretty sweet. He's probably a build around because you don't just,
definitely
you just put this in your token deck. You want this to be with your Bastion of Remembrance and all that different stuff. Build around B though, it's like I'm just gonna spam this. It's hard to kill.
Yeah, 2 mana and then just especially if you have a free sack outlet or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna keep spamming this.
Definitely a sweet one. This one's a little weird. Serrated Scorpion, 1 mana for a 1/2, dies, deals 2 to each opponent, and you gain 2. I like what they're doing here. I like that this exists. I just don't think it's that great. Feels like a D+, very filler. You're not gonna. Don't stack your deck with 5 of these. Your deck's gonna run out of steam in the late game.
Yeah, this is like maybe okay if you have the right deck for it, and if you're maybe sacking and bringing back, but don't put more than 1, I'd say.
Yeah.
It might be good in the next deck though. Shirei, Shizu's Caretaker, 4 and a black for a 2/2 that says whenever a creature with power 1 or less is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step if Shirei's still on the battlefield.
So Shirei and the Scorpion BFFs.
But the Scorpion in general, not our BFF.
Right.
I think this is kind of like pretty cool.
I think it's a good card. I think it's good. The 99. I think it's a good commander. It's not even that expensive.
Yeah, 4 and a black. And I think that it's gonna kind of fly under the radar for like maybe a turn until they see you bring that stuff out and go, oh
Like, wait,
no.
they're just gonna keep doing that.
Yeah, I've seen this outside of limited and normal commander. It's like they keep recurring like bottle gnomes and that sort.
just like random crap. It's
like
gonna
little
be good.
dirtly.
It's gonna be decent. I think Shirei is gonna demand some removal. So if that is the case, I want to give it like a B minus.
Yeah, I was gonna say C plus B minus.
Yeah, supernatural stamina. Black for an instant until end of turn. Target creature gets +2/+0 and gains whenever this creature dies. Return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. Obviously, you're only going to target your own stuff. But it could be a nice black combat trick that's like, oh, surprise, my creature's back. The only thing about this card is that it's just like Shelter. I have a hard time putting it in my deck. I want creatures, I want removal, I want board wipes, I want cards that catch me up. I don't want gotchas that are very situational.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit easier than like Shelter because like it's only 1 mana and it's like it's a little bit of a buff too.
But it protects against less too, because if they're like, all right, Aether Gale your thing, you're like, okay.
Yeah, and it comes back tapped, so it's not like you can use it as a blocker either.
Yeah, you do get the bonus of like targeting your creature, and then if you have a sack outlet, just sack it, and then you get the ETB again. You can Lotless Giant somebody again. Maybe your deck wants one of these. Probably not. I think it's a D plus.
Yeah, D plus.
You don't have to play this card at all.
Tabarrak's Hope's Demise, 2 and a black for a 2/2 flyer that says he has lifelink if he has 5 or more 1/1 counters on it. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, put a 1/1 counter on him. If that creature was a cleric, you may draw a card. If you do, you lose 1 life. This is so many like little things, like 2 and a black for a 2/2 flyer, which like you have to assume is like just the base of it.
Yeah, how many clerics are in this set? I haven't really seen a cleric yet.
I can't name that many clerics.
I mean, just to be clear, at least in my half of the cards, I have not talked about a cleric yet in black.
I mean, he's a cleric, but also like, hold on, I have to.
Like, is Priest a cleric?
Priest is a cleric.
That's 1?
But
That's probably it. Don't even bother, yeah.
I mean, maybe in your.
So it's mostly just you get counters.
Yeah. Orzhov counters, maybe. I think this is really tough. And maybe if you need that 3-drop, like a 2/2 flyer in your 3-drop slot, but I don't think this is good.
It's kind of cheap. It's okay. I really think it's more like a D level. You don't really want to play this. Thorn of the Black Rose, though, I will play any number of copies of. It's 3 and a black for a 1/3 Death Touch. ETB, you become the Monarch. So apparently they just put Death Touch on every single black creature. And that's going to be really annoying for your opponents to deal with when you just go, Monarchy. They're like, I don't have any tokens to trade off with or to jump with. I guess I have to take it and give you the Monarch or trade off my real creature for this. And it's super good on defense. I love it. B+.
Yeah, I think anything that gives the Monarch makes it automatically pretty good.
Yeah, like the vanilla creature, those Palace Sentinels, whatever. This is Death Touch. That's a lot different.
Yeah, it's good blocker. Monarch,
totally great.
Great. Yeah, I think B+ is good. Tragic Slip for 1 black that says target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn, but that creature gets -13/-13 until end of turn if a creature died this turn. I think
the Black Swords.
I think this is good considering, there's always going to be that one person who plays those like board wipes. It's like the -4/-4, but they have like the 6/6 out, and you're going to go, no thanks. Like that's also going to die.
That too, please.
Yeah. I think this is pretty good because it gets rid of like the little utility creatures who have 1 health really early in the game, and then later, you're just gonna wait for someone to kill someone else's creature, even in combat or something. And you go, all right, by the way, that one too.
Or you're the black deck and you just sacrifice a creature. It's pretty good. I think it's
C+.
C+. Yeah, C+ looks good. Twisted Abomination. Didn't expect that here. 5 and a black for a 5/3 because pay a black to regenerate it, and you can Swamp Cycle for 2. I don't really know what this is doing. I think the idea is that you're supposed to discard it, get a land, and then reanimate it. But I don't want to reanimate this. It's pretty small potatoes, even though it does regenerate and it's hard to kill. It's just not that good of a creature.
No, I don't want to regenerate this.
Like I can only give it it's a Swamp Cycler, so it can only be so bad because it's a modal card. It's probably a C.
I'd even say C-.
It's like not that exciting.
Yeah, I'm not excited. Victimize, which I'm pretty excited to play.
Oh, this is going to be so good in this set.
2 and a black for a sorcery that says choose 2 target creature cards in your graveyard. Sack a creature. If you do, return the chosen cards to the battlefield tapped. It's another like Dread Return type deal. I'm so excited to play this. It's the, you're getting 2 creature cards back and you get to sack a creature. If you're playing into that, that's amazing. And even if you're not and you have just like one like little Scion or just a little 1/1 around, you can get your 2 best creatures back even tapped, like for just that 3 mana and that little guy. I'm I'm really excited to play this. I think this is a B.
I don't think you should really pass this card. I think if I see this early, I know that I'm going to be playing the green-black or the blue-black Mill Reanimator deck. It looks like a B, maybe at a base, and maybe it could be even better. It could be an A in your deck if you have good enough creatures. Whisper Blood Liturgist, 3 and a black for a 2/2. Tap, sacrifice 2 other creatures. Well, 2 creatures. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Repeated reanimation, but you have to have enough dummies in play. Also, like your Dread Drones are pretty cool because they just give you some extra fodder. This is going to be a good commander. If you don't answer this, you start realizing really quick that Whisper is really annoying. When it brings back a threat, and then you go, oh shoot, they have a threat. But if I kill the threat, they have Whisper. But if I kill Whisper, they still have the threat. And it's like, you have to kill Whisper pretty quick.
Yeah, the repeatable sack outlet is really awesome, and it's just the fact that you can keep it in your command zone. I'd be happy to have this in my command zone, especially since it's like just sacrifice 2 creatures, so the double sack if you can get that.
Yeah, B minus.
Yeah, B minus. Witch's Cauldron for 1 black mana. If you pay 1 black and tap it, you can sack a creature. You gain 1 life and draw a card. I think this is a build round card to an extent. But if you put it in a deck and you have a lot of little dummies and you need that card draw, I think the life's a little negligible. But I think it could be like a C in a normal deck, and then if you are already a sack deck, I think it could go up to like a B minus maybe.
I think the card inclusion, like the card choice here, says a lot. They could have put like Vampiric Rites. That's a pretty innocuous card, but it doesn't tap. And I think that Vampiric Rites would have been too good. So they specifically toned it down a notch. So I think this is going to be like better than it looks. Not unplayable, probably a C or a C minus, but it's going to do work.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think C normally, but I think in the sack deck, this is going to be pretty good.
Right, you can only go off so much, but it's going to be good.
Yeah, I also think, though, that people aren't going to use removal on it.
They're not going to respect it.
Yeah, and so I think you could get more triggers than you think.
Yes. All right, now, I don't know for sure, but this might be the best uncommon commander we've seen so far. Yahenni Undying Partisan is 2 and a black for a 2/2. It's got haste. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Yahenni, sacrifice another creature, she gains indestructible until end of turn. This thing is the board wipe survivor. You sack one of your creatures, everything else on the board dies. Let's say each opponent had 3 creatures out. That's pretty normal. She gets 9 counters, and you just hit somebody for 11 commander damage. This card's amazing, and it literally looks like maybe the best card, considering that it can be a commander, maybe the best card I've seen so far. It's probably an A minus.
Yeah, I'm putting this in my command zone if I can, because it protects itself, basically.
It's 3 mana, and you can just replay it if it dies somehow for 5 mana. This card is amazing.
Yeah, you're going to hit at least a couple people with it.
You're going to lose to Yahenni. Yahenni is a banger.
Unlike this next card, which I might even play Poopy Piper at this point.
Yeah.
Yargle, Glutton of Urborg, 4 and a black for a 9/3 vanilla.
Well, it is strictly better than Poopy Piper.
I know, but it's funnier to play Poopy Piper.
I think it's funnier to play Yargle, but Yargle's terrible. Yargle is like, I'm a little offended that they, it's a joke, it's funny, but no, it's terrible.
I think especially in a premium
What are you
set,
supposed
I'm
to do with
offended that it's in here.
There's nothing to build around. It's got no abilities. I would give it... I can't give it an F because it's a commander. Because it is better than Poopy Piper.
I'm going to give it a D minus minus minus.
D minus 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 is the way to go. And look, right, we're on red cards. We're already there. We're already halfway done, folks. Stick with us. A Braid. 1 and a red for an instant. Choose 1, deal 3 to a creature, or destroy an artifact. Bread and butter. Artifacts are going to be running around. There's going to be plenty of them to blow up. You can get a lot of mana advantage out of this, or destroy a utility creature in the early game. Seems like a C+.
Yeah, it's cheap removal. It hits a bunch of stuff. C+ is good. Anax, Harden the Forge, 1 red for a star 3, where his power is equal to your devotion to red. Whenever Anax or another non-token creature you control dies, you create a 1/1 red satyr creature token with this creature can't block. If this creature has power 4 or greater, create 2 of those tokens instead.
Lots of fodder. Red-black fodder over days.
I guess it could be your commander, so it's not the worst, but I don't know. I'm not excited.
I'm excited. This card's sweet.
Really?
I think it also survives Extinguish All Hope randomly. I think Anax is going to double your death amounts, basically. Like, if you have Bastion of Remembrance, all your creatures die twice, and it's just perfect.
Yeah, because you are getting the extra tokens. And
yeah, who cares what the token does? It could be like a frog 0/0 that dies immediately, and that'd be great. We just want tokens and dummies to die. Anax definitely gives that, but it's like a red-black card. So I think it's B minus.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think as a partner commander, this would be super sweet. The others, the sack Whisper.
Yeah, like Whisper and Annex. Like, yes, please.
Yeah, I think I could be pretty excited
Heck
about
yeah.
that.
Blood Aspirate goes in that deck too. It's one in a red for 1/1. Whenever you sacrifice permanent, you get a counter on it, and you pay 1 in a red and sacrifice a creature or enchantment to deal 1 to a creature, and the creature can't block this turn. I kind of like this card. I think it's a build around, probably a C+. It only goes in red-black. I think you don't touch it anywhere else. But it can stack up counters, and I think the like emergency sack outlet, if you have to pay 2 mana for it, plus stop a creature from blocking, can mess up somebody else's combat. Neat little dude. Nice 2-drop.
Yeah, if you're not getting enough sack outlets, it's definitely a fine inclusion, but it's not my go-to sack outlet.
Totally
either.
fine.
Captain Ripley Vance, 2 in a red for a 3/2 that says whenever you cast your 3rd spell each turn, put a 1/1 counter on it, then it deals damage equal to its power to any target. I think casting 3 spells is going to be kind of tough in this format.
Yeah, that's not going to be super easy.
So, I mean, it can be your commander and it can do that thing, but how low to the ground do you really have to be?
We didn't see any preordains in blue.
So, yeah, it's like I'm not really sure where this is trying to go. I mean, it's not even like, it's not how many 3 creatures coming in. It's just 3rd spell, and all these spells kind of look a little chunky here
It's
and
like
there.
a D-.
Yeah, I don't want to play this in Command Zone.
Don't play this. Champion of the Flame, 1 in a red for 1/1 trample, gets +2/+2 for each aura and equipment attached to it. This card was in Commander Legends, and it was tried many times, and it was horrendous every single time. I think this is an F. Don't even bother. I think it's actually really bad. Kind of a trap. Equipment does not need to do this.
Yeah, I don't think it's great. I haven't played this myself, at least, but this isn't the thing I would want to put auras on, and this isn't the thing I'd want to equip, so I think that it's misleading, and so I think F is pretty good.
It is kind of misleading. You have 2 equipments out, and you have this out, and they're both attached to this, and this is, no.
Is this the best thing you can really put your enchantments and equipments on? Because I think if you're building the Boros equipment deck, you can put something better.
I'd rather put it on Sunspear Shikari.
Crimson Fleet Commodore, 3 in a red for a 5/2 trample that says when he enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. Monarch's good. The rest of it's fine.
Trample can get through some Monarch attacks. Like if you attack into a 4/4, you're going to get the Monarch.
See,
yeah. Good card. Cyclops Electromancer, 4 in a red for a 4/2 ETB. You deal X to a target creature an opponent controls, or X is the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard. This is the blue-red spells card. You're going to need at least 3 to have this kill something relevant. So I'd say it's a build around, but it's a straight up 2-for-1. It's got 4 power, so it can trade up. It can hit if somebody's, without a blocker. It can punch for like a solid chunk. Feels like a build around C+.
yeah, it actually feels like one of
Maybe
the Is It Spellslinger like creatures that can actually do any sort of work, because some of the other ones felt a little like dirtly, like they were just there.
Cryptic
They could be
Serpent, no.
Yeah.
This, yes.
Yeah, I think this could actually put in some work, but it build around. Dragon Fodder, 1 in a red for that says just create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens.
It's a spell that makes tokens that you can sacrifice, so it can go in either one of those decks.
Yeah, I think this is good. I think this leaves you open to deck choices, because if you happen to get this somewhere early, like I'm not sure if I'd pick it super early, but if you happen to get it super early, you can kind of pivot into either or, and I wouldn't be mad at either.
It's versatile. Don't pick it early, but it's versatile.
Yeah.
So C.
Yeah, C is good.
Dwarven Hammer, 2 in a red for a equipment. When there's a battlefield, you can pay 2. If you do, you get a 2/1 that auto attaches this. It gets +3/+0 and has trample, and it equips for 3. So the +3/+0 trample can add some stats, even on a 1/1. It's a 4/1 trample now. 5 mana gets you a 5/1 trample that has like an auto equip to it. I'm not thrilled. I would never play more than 1 of this, I don't think. I want to give it a D+. I don't think this is good enough.
I think that 3 mana to equip is like kind of rough,
Once it falls off the dwarf, or if you have to play this early for some reason, it doesn't feel great to equip this.
Yeah, if you play it early, maybe that 5 damage might mean something, but once it falls off, I think I will not want to spend that 3 mana later to re-equip it to most other things.
Yeah, there's too many little blockers to mess with you when you don't get any toughness.
Yeah, I'd say D. Did you say D+? I was going to say D.
D+.
Yeah. Faithless Looting for 1 red. Draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. Flashback 2 in a red. We need the card selection.
It's a card that is so overplayed in regular Commander, but it might be necessary in the format where like lands become dead late the game. You don't have combos to lean on. I think it's probably a C-.
Yeah, I think it just worries me because it's not true card draw.
Put it in your spells next, not so much your random red-black stack deck.
Yeah, because it's like if you only have 2 cards in your or not 2 cards,
It's
but
card
if you,
disadvantage.
yeah, so
It's not even selection. It's card disadvantage.
yeah, so if you're drawing 2 and you only have 2, and then you're just getting rid of it, it's like not real. So it's like it might be dead in your hand, and that worries me.
Yeah, flashback's nice, but you got to mill it or something. Fiend Lash, 1 and a red for an equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has reach randomly. Whenever equipped creature is dealt damage, deals that much damage to target player or planeswalker. Again, equips for 3. Yeesh, why are these equip costs so high? But you can kind of like team up with somebody to fireball somebody out of the game. This card I think is going to be not fun. One of the play patterns you can do with it is I say, hey Mia, this person across from us, this other third player is really giving us a hard time. You have 7 creatures out and they total up to 25 power. I'm going to attack you with my 1/1 that is equipped with Fiend Lash. You block with everything. It is dealt 25 damage. I go 25 damage to the other person's face and they lose without even having taken a game action.
I think that's so rough.
That's dumb. That is not cool.
Yeah, I think this will snipe a person, and they won't know until it's too late.
I think this card is not great and not fun. Maybe all right, maybe I have to take away the not fun aspect. I think that the fact that I can do that is pretty sick.
Yeah.
So,
like, I don't think it's fun, but I think it's funny.
maybe it's a C+. But if your opponents aren't down with that, then it plays worse. So I'd maybe C+, but be prepared for this to be not as great.
Yeah, this would be like if we could sideboard card.
And actually, seriously though, PSA to everyone who plays this format, watch out for that. Don't be the person who dies randomly to that.
Yeah, just watch your back. Fist of Flames, 1 in a red that says draw a card until end of turn. Target creature gains trample and gets +1/+0 for each card you've drawn this turn. I don't love this.
It's a cantrip.
It's fine.
For spells decks, it's probably better in your spells decks. I wouldn't play it too much outside of that. You can mess up combat for other people by giving the creature +1/+0 and trample. C-.
Yeah, I think it's
Let's just give it a D.
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, you could target other people's stuff, but if you're like targeting like yours, like
You're not going to have room for this. That's going to be what it is.
you're also not trying to like beat people down in your Spellslinger deck.
You're not going to have room for this, yeah. It's going to be a card that you play maybe one of. Frontier Warmonger, 3 and a red for a 4/4. Whenever one or more creatures attack one of your opponents, those creatures gain menace until end of turn. So basically, creatures attacking your opponents have menace.
I mean, in a combat-based meta, I think that's like pretty good.
That can get pretty tricky. I kind of like this little dude. I think we should give it again, it has no synergy, so there is that to consider. Probably a C.
Yeah, I think C is good. I think
Take it early and it wouldn't be the worst.
Yeah, I think you could slot it in, and I think that just like with the others, like, oh, don't attack me because you could get menace if you attack over there, and it goes, yeah, that is a pretty good idea,
You know what?
actually.
You're right. I'll take the Monarchy or something.
Yeah. Furious Rise, 2 and a red. At the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card until you exile another card with Furious Rise. I think that it's it's not bad because it is the extra card, like advantage, you can see the extra, and I think it's a little bit rough though because every single ends, like at the beginning of your end step, you are going to exile it, so you only get like a 1-turn timer to play it. So if you play this a little bit early and then you exile like a really great spell, but it's like 6 mana or something, and you don't have that it's lost forever. But it's a little bit risky, but better reward, I'd say.
It's a red for X Arena. Gonna be good in the green-red decks that are not playing Tuya Bearclaw because Tuya Bearclaw sucks. But in the green-red decks that are playing maybe Anax and some other creature that we'll get to later, I could see it because it does do things eventually. Okay, this next one, Gargadon. I don't know about this one. 5 red for a 7/5 trample. Suspend 4 for 1 and a red. When it comes off a suspend, it has haste. Don't ever play this card. I don't know. I don't think there's a reason to play this. I think I'll give it an F.
I think it's an F2. I am very low on suspend cards to begin with. Like
straight up vanilla. Like it's a French vanilla.
But no, I don't want this. I don't want to wait that many turns. What, I have to put down how much mana to begin with?
It's 7 if you want to just hard cast it, but
That's
it's 2
awful.
up front, and then you wait 4 turns.
I hate all of that.
None of that sounds good. I'm not getting away with anything.
Yeah.
Maybe Greater Gargadon would be cool because that's a sack outlet. This is nothing.
Yeah. Gutter Snipe, tuna red for a 2/2 that says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. I mean, this is great in all spells or
Not
just
common.
spell slinger decks in general. And build around, I'd say B+.
Your deck could have like 3 Gutter Snipes in it. Maybe you build around B, but it's really good.
I'd say B+ because it's like 2 damage to each opponent, especially
You're not going to be able to sling together 7 spells though. So it's going to be like maybe 6 per turn.
Yeah, but
if
the
you're
fact
going
that you
real
can
hard.
have more than one.
Yeah, you can do some things with it. I'm excited to try out the all gutter snipe deck. Havoc Jester is going to be good too because whenever you sacrifice a permanent on this 5-mana 5/5, it deals 1 to any target. This with Judith and the reassembling skeletons and the bastions are just going to create. There's another card, other Zach that's coming up too. Just going to create hostage situations where if somebody's at 10 or less life, they can't mess with you or you're going to kill them.
I think the sacrifice black-red deck is actually coming together really, really nicely, especially in the commons, because it has more ways to close out the game than some of the other archetypes we've seen prior.
Red Black's got a lot of ping, a lot of direct damage.
I like this. What do you give it?
I'd give it well, it's a build around. It's probably a build around B.
Yeah. I think it's definitely good. I mean, 5-man's a little expensive, but when you're pinging, I think that's great. Hoarding Dragon, 3 red for a 4/4 flyer that says, when he enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card, exile, then shuffle. When he dies, you can put the exiled card into its owner's hand. I think this is kind of interesting, but like in the sack deck, it can almost be an auto tutor, getting that. But the fact that it only tutors for artifacts makes it a little bit weird.
Yeah, I don't know what deck this goes in. It kind of is like a generic 5-mana 4/4, draw a card. I guess if you're sacrificing it, you get to tutor something, but that's not really the most ideal situation on your 5-mana 4/4 flyer. I think I'd still play it. It looks like a C. C+.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what I'd tutor for at that point.
Yeah, it's not the most obvious thing in the world. My turn. Living Lightning, 3 in red for a 3/2. When it dies, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Ooh, I really wish they would have just given us Ardent Elementalist, a 4-mana 2/1 that just returns it when it enters. I don't want to have to wait. My spells deck aren't going to be able to kill this, and my sack decks aren't going to be able to get anything back. It just looks like a D. This is like a really confused card.
Yeah, the only thing I'd probably get back with this in a sack deck is like my Victimize or something.
Right. And
such a narrow target.
Weird card.
Yeah, not happy, D. Next one, after being joined by Amber, is Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs. 3 red for a 5/4 that says, whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks, if you're the defending player, create a 3/3 red ogre creature token unless that creature's controller pays 3. I think this is pretty good considering it is a combat-based meta. You're getting that 3/3 creature and it deters people from attacking you a little bit.
Yeah, Baird says they can't attack unless they pay 1. Not only is that obviously a third of the cost, but for this, you get like a decent stats. You get like a chunk of stats, like a 3/3. I think it's going to be better than Baird. Maybe you could play them both and then no one will attack you. I don't know. It looks like a C+.
Yeah, C+ is good. I mean, I wouldn't mind this in my command zone above some other ones.
It seems okay. But it's one of those like 0 synergy cards.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what I'd build this with.
Yeah, you can't force them to attack you unless you strike some kind of deal. The next card is definitely going to be a build around though. It's Makeshift Munitions. 1 in red for an enchantment. 1, sacrifice an artifact or creature. It deals 1 to any target. This was one of the best commons in the entire set for the original Commander Legends, and I think it's going to scale pretty well with the power of the set. It's going to be like one of your go-to sack outlets, and it's going to be one of the reasons that everybody gets held hostage in the late game, and you can't go below 10 against the Rakdos sacrifice deck. It's really annoying.
Yeah, I really, really like this, honestly. Definitely build around, but just for 1 mana to sack an artifact or a creature to deal 1, I love that.
It's like a build around B+. This card is way better than it looks like, and I'm going to start out taking it really highly.
Yeah, especially if you're getting like Judith or something super early. I love that. Loyal Apprentice, 1 in a red for a 2/1 that has haste. And at the beginning of your combat on your turn, if you control your commander, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. That token gains haste until end of turn. I think this is the first print in foil in this set, actually.
It might be for all of them, yeah.
And I really like this card. I want to put it into my decks because I've seen it do so much work with my friend who puts it into every one of his decks that he can.
Great.
Yeah, I want to give this like a C+, B-. Like, not the reason you should be in red, but if you see it, I think you should definitely take it if you are in red already.
It just goes in every deck. It doesn't really matter what you're doing. Artifacts, tokens, sacrifice, it just does everything. It's like a better Bitter Blossom, honestly. I think this card is just better than that card.
Yeah, what would you give it?
I'd give it a C+ or a B-. Sounds good to me. Let's go B-. The stoppers are going to add up, and this is only 2 mana.
Definitely.
Rakamar, 2 red for a 2/2 haste. Red, tap, make a 3/1 red elemental creature token with haste. Kind of a weird version of like Loyal Apprentice. Every turn, you poop out a 3/1. They don't go away at the end step like most 3/1s do. So this card seems fine, honestly. I think I'd probably give it a C+. It looks like a good card for Rakdos.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't mind this in the command zone either, especially since it does have haste, so you can get that immediately with just 1 red mana.
Yeah, don't play her until turn 5, and then you just get a 3/1.
Yeah, but I'm also not sure exactly if I'd want this first pick as a red commander.
Yeah, not first pick. Just seems like a decent red commander.
C+ sounds good. Meteoric Mace, 4 red for an equipment that says equipped creature gets +4/+0 and has trample. Equip 4 and Cascade. So I think this is super weird that a Cascade trigger is on an equipment.
I think this is another card that's just not going to get there. I think the cost is really high. Even compared to like Dwarven Hammer, you're only going to get, like, you get 1 more power. Like Dwarven Hammer is +3/+0. This is +4/+0. For more mana, you're going to have to like get really lucky off the Cascade, because if you hit something bad, this card sucks.
Yeah, it's just, I'm just thinking 10 mana to give +4/+0 and trample. That's not worth it to me. I'd give this maybe a D.
I think D's fine. I'm not going to be like clamoring to play that. Let's go to Rapacious One. This is a weird card. 5 and a red for a 5/4 trample. When it deals combat damage to a player, you get that many 0/1 Eldrazi spawns. If you can connect straight up, this is amazing. You just get 5 dudes. If you trade off and you get like 2 dudes, I'm not thrilled. And if you don't get any dudes, this card's terrible. I think this is just not going to get there.
Yeah, I'd say maybe D+ for this. I don't
D+
know.
looks good. If you need a 6-drop on your deck, here you go. That's trample.
But I'm not excited.
Not even close.
Yeah. Rapacious Dragon, 4 and a red, 3/3 flyer. When he enters the battlefield, create 2 treasure tokens. I mean, it refunds like 2 of your mana back immediately, plus in the sack decks with, sacking your artifacts and then pinging a little bit. I think this can be pretty good, especially since you can chip in for 3 flying damage. I would give this maybe a C, C-.
Looks solid. C seems good.
Yeah.
Right, Rorik's Bladewing. I don't know why he's here, but here he is. 3 red for a 6/5 with flying and haste.
Bye.
And that's all he does.
I'm not excited to see this. I'm not like, that rate is too bad for a flying haste. We could be spending that mana on so many other things.
If it had 7 power, I'd be a little more interested, because you could 3 strikes, you're out, kill someone with commander damage, but this just looks like absolute filler to me. It's going to be big. It's going to be big the first time you play it, and it's going to matter. And then I think after that, it'll never matter again.
I think the triple red pips can also be kind of tough to cast, especially if you are in 2 or 3 colors.
Yeah, it's not a guarantee that you have that.
Yeah, I'm not happy about this. Maybe D?
I want to just give it a C, I think. C-.
Yeah,
just not be
maybe
thrilled.
D+, I'd say.
Yeah, it doesn't do a ton.
Ravaging Blaze, X red. It deals X damage to target creature, but if you have 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, it deals X damage to that creature's controller. I don't think this is that bad, because
you're a fireball.
Yeah, because you're putting this into your spell slinging decks, and you're gonna have that 2 red mana. You can pour in as much mana as you want in the later game, and then you're going to be able just to ping a person for that if they have a low enough health. I think that could be your 1-hit KO.
It's not efficient, but it is an instant, right?
Yeah, it
so
is an instant.
You can hold it up, just like pass with all your mana up, hold it up, see what happens. I think it's gonna accomplish a fair bit. It's not an efficient spell at all. Maybe it's a C or C+.
Yeah, I'd say C. I'm not taking this super highly, but I also wouldn't mind having this in my
I'll take one in my deck.
spell decks.
Pretty much any deck, I would take one. Slice and Dice, 4 red for a sorcery. It deals 4 to each creature, or you can cycle it for 2 and a red, and when it does that, you can deal 1 to each creature. Okay, I like this card a lot. This is in the Commander Cube again. It's basically a similar version of -4/-4. It's going to take out everything with reasonable toughness or less, and then if you don't need that, you just cycle, kill all the mirrors and Thopters running around, and draw a card.
I like the versatility on this, honestly. Plus, we need so many board wipes in this, and we haven't seen too many in red yet.
Looks like another A-.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say B+, but yeah, I think you should, because it's going to be so much creature-heavy combat meta, you should take it pretty highly.
Yeah, take it highly. It's good.
Skyline Despot, 5 red for a 5/5 flyer that says when he enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you're the monarch, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying.
I was surprised this got downgraded from rare.
I like this, honestly. I like, for 7 mana, becoming the monarch, and then also if you keep it, creating a 5/5 red dragon token. I don't think that's that bad, especially since you are able to connect. Like, if someone takes the monarch, you might be able to connect a little bit easier with the flying body that this provides.
Yeah, I really want to get a dragon off of it, otherwise it's a little overcosted, but 5/5 is good at protecting the monarchy, and I'm willing to put this in my deck to try to keep the monarchy.
Yeah, plus just like, it's added draw a card, at least one. And I'm not mad at that. That's pretty good. I'd say C plus, C?
Yeah, C+. I definitely keep it at least C+. Let's go to Spite Bellows. 5 and a red for a 6/1. When it leaves the battlefield, it deals 6 damage to target creature, or you can evoke it for 1 red. Little confusing. Seems like kind of a bad card. I know it's going in the sacrifice decks. I think outside of the sacrifice decks, don't play this card, but maybe in the sacrifice decks where you have a lot of mana, you just hard cast this and hold up like, as a threaten of the ability. I'm gonna deal 6 to your thing if you attack me. That could be all right. It seems like a C.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you gonna give it a different build around grade?
No, maybe a C-. I'm not thrilled.
Yeah, C- sounds good. It's not one of the better evoke creatures, It's not the Mole Drifter,
Right. It's no Mully D.
Spike Shot Goblin, tuna red for a 1/2 that says if you pay red and tap it, he deals damage equal to its power to any target. I mean, I'm kind of confused as to where this is trying to go, right? Because
It
it's
wants
like
to be an equipment. You're supposed to suit it up with like the hammer, and then it's a 5/2.
Yeah, my mind immediately went to counters for some reason. I'm like, I guess it's fine.
And there's a lot of white cards that give counters.
Yeah, but I still don't want to put this. Like, this isn't the thing I want to equip for the most part. Because if I'm equipping something, I want to try and attack or have the double strike or something. And then this is just, you have to tap it fully. You can't even attack with it. And you have to pay mana into it. I don't know. I'm not thrilled about this. Maybe C- D+.
I'm kind of a big fan of it, actually.
Really?
I think that you're gonna suit it up. Like, I'm not trying to suit this up with that Meteoric Mace. I'm gonna maybe put like an Ancestral Blade on it, so it's got 2 power, and then you just hold it up forever. And then you just pick off something every single turn. If you're gonna pick off those like the cycle of loyal creatures, just start killing them. I think this card's pretty great. It's common, right?
Yeah, this is
I would
common.
play multiples of this for sure. It's like a threat. It's just a repeatable mana sink. It's going to do things every turn. And as we've seen, we can't ask that of every creature in the set.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely if you're in the equipment deck or you have some sort of counter synergy, it would get a better build around grade. But
if you can't pump it, don't play it. But as soon as you can get it to even 2, it's a good card. So maybe build around B.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe a little lower for me, but I'd love to see how this plays out.
Yeah, you know what I would like to see play out? Moxfield.com. They're the best deck building site ever. You can look at every card from Commander Masters already. You can sort to the new versions of Commander Masters cards. Skyline Despot got downgraded. Guess what? You can represent that in your deck super easily.
Moxfield.com also happens to have all of the pre-cons that were released in their Wizards of the Coast account. So you can check out all of those lists if you want to check out new cards or anything that got reprinted. It's just a great website overall.
If you're not using Moxfield, I'm sorry, but you got a problem, and
you're wrong.
You're missing out. You're missing out on your decks. It could be cooler.
And if you're not following us, you're also wrong, and
please,
you should.
Please follow us. we need the followers so bad. Please follow us.
Yeah, please. We're trying to hit 10,000, actually.
We got to be the first account to hit 10,000. That's real. That's not sadness. That's real. All right, let's go to the actual cards. Stormkin Artist, 3 and a red for a 2/2. It gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell or copy it, you get a treasure token. This card is amazing.
Yeah. Wasn't it? Could it go infinite with anything?
It goes infinite with Haze of Rage. That's not in here.
No.
But I don't think there's any infinites to be had. It's just a good card.
Yeah, I think that in those spell slinging decks, plus the treasures just like accumulate after a certain while, and I really like this, honestly.
Yeah, it's like kind of can go in any deck really, as long as you have enough instants and sorceries. I think this card's sweet. Probably give it like a B-.
Yeah, I think I'd put it a little bit higher if you're building around, like not building around it specifically, but if you do have it in those specific spell slinging decks.
Yeah.
Maybe a B in those. Squee Goblin Nabob? Nabob. Tuna red for a 1/1 that says at the beginning of your upkeep, you may return Squee from your graveyard to your hand. I mean, you're going to try and get those in those sacrifice decks probably because you're going to try and like sack it and then bring it back. But
this is weird.
But I think that 3 mana to play it, sack it, and then get it back, that's just like so much mana.
Way too much mana. I don't know. There's not much discard going on, right?
I don't think so.
We would have seen it already.
Yeah, we haven't seen much discard. So in theory, you're trying to sack it and then bring it back and then play it again. But 3 mana is just too much for this body that I'm not trying. I'd rather, have the skeleton and bring it back for 2 or something else. And like as a legendary creature, I don't care. Like,
is this just supposed to be like the ultimate chump blocker?
Yeah,
I guess?
This seems like a space filler in the decks that that have to play it. I guess.
Yeah, I think like C- or maybe even D+.
I think it's somewhere in the D+ range for me.
Don't be clamoring for Squee. Sulphurous Blast, 2 red for an instant. It deals 2 to each creature and each player, but if you cast it during your main phase, it deals 3 to each creature and each player. I definitely like this more than Drowned in Sorrow. It's an instant, so you can hold it up and get a little tricky with it, or you can just blow up a lot of things. I think 3 is a wide net to cast, and it deals damage to players too.
Yeah, I think the 2 versus 3 actually will end up mattering in this format. So I think the versatility of it's pretty nice.
I think you should probably just play this card. It's like a C+. It's not on the board wipe level. It's just good.
Yeah, it's a little bit of like a sweeper. I think it's okay, but like, if there's better board wipes, you should take them, but I don't think this is a bad pick by any means necessary.
Yes.
Subira Tulzidi Caravaner, 2 and a red for a 2/3 with haste. If you pay 1, another target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. If you pay 1 and a red and tap it, you can discard your hand. Until end of turn, whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. I think this is like where a little bit of the discard we were chatting about, like where is it, is coming through. But
it's not controlled. I have to discard my whole hand?
Yeah, that's asking a lot. I think this is better in the command zone than like Poopy Piper or
it
like
makes things
Squee.
unblockable. Like it just gives you evasion. Just forget the last ability, right? Sometimes you'll do it.
But again, like I'm not really sure where I'm putting this. Am I putting this in like some sort of token deck? I'm not putting in like an equipment deck because I want those creatures to be like, higher power if I want them to not be blocked, and it's only 1 target creature that can't be blocked for 1 mana. I don't like this that much.
I think it's okay. I think it's like a C or C+.
I'd say like C-. I'm not big on this, especially since it does say discard your entire hand.
I'm just not looking at that. If it didn't say that at all, I would still give it like a C because it just gives you evasion, and then it's kind of like gravy.
I guess. I don't know. I'm still probably gonna be C, lower C on it.
Yeah, like if you add a bad ability to an okay card, the card gets better.
Yeah, I guess. I'm still not that high on it though.
All right, I think we're out of order, so you should go again.
Okay. Teamer Battle Rage, 1 and a red for an instant that says target creature gains double strike until end of turn. And with also, that creature also gains trample until end of turn if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. I like this card, actually. I think it's I don't like a lot of the gotchas in this set, but I think this is one of the more powerful gotchas, at least, because it's like 2 mana, it's held up easily, and the fact that in the decks that you are playing this, you are definitely going to have a fair amount of creature with power 4 or greater, whether that's through equipment or counters or whatever, and then that double strike is really going to add up, whether, you sneak in a little bit of commander damage, and it's like, my commander's power is 5, no, you're taking 10 commander damage. Now, I like this. I would probably give it a good C or something.
I'd give it a C, but I'd say don't get carried away. I would never play more than 2 of this. Probably I'm only going to play 1 max. It's a card you're not going to have room for some of the time. It's okay. It definitely can be good in some decks. I would just give it a C.
Yeah, I think it's playable, but it's not playable in multiple.
Yeah, don't go too ham. Are we back in? I think we're back in. All right, Valduk, Keeper of the Flame, 2 and a red for a 3/2. At the beginning of combat on your turn, for each aura and equipment attached to this guy, you get a 3/1 that goes away at the end step with haste. This is like an okay equipment payoff. If you're getting 2 per turn, you can start maybe giving people some headaches, but it's just a lot of setup. I've never liked Valduk in any format he's ever been in, which is a couple. How do you feel about him?
I don't think that's great, especially with the fact that so many of the equipments we've seen so far have such a big equipment cost. Mm-hmm. I think that's so much mana payoff to something that, like, I'm not going to say, like, dies to removal, because everything dies to removal, but I think that one well-timed path on him after you spend, 7, 8 to equip to try and get those couple of 3/3s is not just, you're just going to say, okay, pass, I guess, and I have no mana now.
It just seems like too much setup.
Yeah.
You could be disrupted easily, and the payoff's not even that great. It's like high risk, low reward.
Yeah, and the fact that they go away too is really like a bummer.
If I could build them up, that's something else. That would be interesting, but I can't. C-?
C-. Vandal Blast for 1 red, destroy target artifact you don't control, or you can overload for 4 and a red to destroy each artifact you don't control. I think that depending on the decks you play against, this could be really good. I mean, 1 red for 1 artifact you don't control is definitely good, but also it's like I'm not seeing a ton of artifacts in here that are really like, we need to kill that now.
Well, we haven't really gotten to any yet. The artifacts are coming, but what we have seen a lot of is mirror tokens and Thopter tokens, which this wipes away.
Yeah, I think this is good as an artifact board wipe, but if you're playing it just for spot removal, probably not.
Well, it's an artifact board wipe that you can play spot removal. If you couldn't play it, it would just be worse.
I know. I'm just saying, like, if you should definitely try for the overload, and if you have to for the 1 red, that's fine. But
if somebody plays a Soul Ring, which is in the set, just take it out.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah. All right. Zada, Hedron Grinder, 3 and a red for a 3/3. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only Zada, you copy it for all the other creatures you control, and each target copies a different thing. You know what I'm talking about. But so like this is the Fist of Flame wombo combo where you draw a card and each creature gets progressively bigger and you draw cards equal to the number of creatures you have. I don't think it's supported enough. There's probably a cool deck you could build, but I don't think it's going to come together that often. I'd probably give Zada like a D+, but the deck could come together and be pretty sweet.
Yeah, D+, maybe C- if you really have the right cards for it. But I think that in the instant sorceries deck, you're not looking for those combat like all around, you know? You're trying to like ping through other types of damage, and I don't think this has enough support for that.
Yeah, if you can get all the Fists of Flame, because nobody's going to want them, and like all the shelters, there's maybe some other ones. There's just not a ton. You know, if there was like 4 in every color that I was happy to play, I'd be in. But I'm just not. It seems mediocre.
Yeah. We're moving on to green now with Abundant Harvest for 1 green that says choose land or non-land. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card of the chosen kind. Put that card into your hand and the rest of on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is fine.
It's the epitome of filler. It's just a cantrip. You draw the type you want.
Yeah, it can go in your deck. I'm not. I'm not excited. I'm not bummed. If I need more playables, this is going in. C-.
I would never play this. The only way I would play it is maybe if I was getting cheeky and I wanted to cut a land for it. But I would never cut a spell for this card.
No, absolutely. It's just if you don't have enough playables, this is fine.
Yes, this is better than a land sometimes. Acidic Slime, 3 green for a 2/2 Death Touch. ETB, destroy an artifact, enchantment, or land. Slime, not so great in regular Commander. I think it's perfect in this where you're like slower, dirtily. It actually blocks on the ground. People have to attack you to win, so you're going to be blocking. And it snipes something when it enters.
Yeah, I also love the Victimize and the Dread Return that you can bring this back. And so if you got enough of those, this can really be like very powerful. Okay, but the real question is, what grade are you giving it?
This is like a C+. Good card.
Yeah.
Unlike the next card you're about to read.
Animal Magnetism, 4 and a green for a sorcery that says, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. An opponent chooses a creature card from among them. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest into your graveyard. I didn't know that this card existed prior to reviewing the set.
Me neither.
And I think this can whiff so hard. And for 5 mana, that is such a big mana investment to whiff.
Even if your entire deck is creatures, you are going to have like 24 lands and 26 or not 26, 36 creatures, right?
Yeah.
Let's 34 because of your commanders. That's still not even the great odds you're not going to hit 5 creatures, but you don't want to hit 5 creatures because then your opponent picks the worst one and you get like an Elvish Visionary type thing. But then if you play very few creatures, you don't want to play this because you're going to whiff. It's just like, I don't think you should ever play this card. I think it's an F.
I think F is good too because I can see myself playing this and then it's like, oh, I'll take your Land War Elves. Cool. 5 mana for a Mana Dork. Awesome.
Your opponents you can make political deals with it, but what is the deal? It's like, give me my best creature. And your opponent goes, no.
Yeah, and then they flip it and you get 1 creature out of it. It's like a 3-drop and you're like, okay, I guess that was my best creature.
I sure did spend 5 mana on this card. Yeah, really, really rough. Armorcraft Judge, 3 and a green for a 3/3 ETB. Draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. This is the payoff for the Gavany Silversmiths and the dogs that supply dogs, whatever, that put counters on everything. You can start drawing cards. It's probably one of the best cards in the counters decks.
Yeah, build around, I'd say.
Build around B. You're going to be excited to play this in counters.
Yeah, I'd be excited to draw this in counters because, we need, so much card draw. It's like, we really need it. Beanstalk Giant, 6 and a green for the creature part of it that says Beanstalk Giant's power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. Or you can play Fertile Footsteps, the sorcery part of this adventure that says, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, and shuffle. I really like the fact that you can play these for both of their modes. I really enjoy the adventure cards a lot, honestly, because they're so versatile, and they're early game and late game cards. I would say this is a C+.
Yeah, C+ sounds good. It's a ramp spell, and then it's a mediocre ramp payoff, but it's something to do when you don't have anything else to do. And I don't think Fertile Footsteps is that much worse than like a Rampant Growth.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's in the adventure zone too. So it's not like, oh, my graveyard's gonna get exiled or something and I can't play against.
It's just chilling.
It's its own thing.
Yep, let's go to Broken Wings. 2 and a green for an instant. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. They love putting this in Commander. Whatever, dude. You can play this. This is the green version of if you don't have any other removal, you should start playing Broken Wings. I think you can mainboard it without a problem. I'm just not excited to. I'll give it a C-.
Yeah, I keep seeing all of the type, destroy target creature with flying in every single cube type or draft type. Mm-hmm. And I'm just kind of sick of it because it's so narrow. At least artifact enchantment it's hitting too, but I'm not excited. I'm not happy to play this. I'd really rather play a bunch of other stuff.
Most of the time, I feel like I'm getting a bad deal unless I'm killing a flyer.
Yeah,
so it might as well be Plummet.
Yeah, yeah. Did you say C minus? Because
I think so.
yeah, C minus is about right. Courage in Crisis, 2 and a green. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature, then proliferate. This relies on you to have a board so badly because I don't want to pay 3 mana for 1/1 counter. And technically, it's 2, I know, because you'll put the 1/1 on and then proliferate it. But still, that's a pretty bad rate. And if you're putting this in your counters deck, then I guess it's fine, but it still requires you to have such a big board. I'd say C minus.
This is confusingly bad. I'll give it like a D minus minus minus. I really
Really?
want to give it an F, but I'm gonna trust that they put this in there for a reason and give it a D minus minus minus. It's 3/4 counters for 3 mana. There's just nothing. You can't spend a card on that. Crash of Rhino Beetles is pretty cool though. It's 4 and a green for a 5/5 trample, demoted from rare to common. It gets +10/+10 as long as you control 10 or more lands. So if you have 10 lands, there's a 15/15 trample, and I think scaling commander down, that's relevant.
I like this, honestly. I love the fact that it's common, and I like honestly, this has been better than a lot of the the top end payoffs that we've seen.
Yeah, you got to be careful because you're probably gonna have some ramp. Sky Shroud Claim is coming up. That card's amazing. It'll do work for this card.
Common.
You're not gonna have 10 lands all the time, so build around it a little bit. But I would play one of these in my ramp decks.
Yeah, I'm not saying play all as many as possible, but one as a top end, and maybe you can sneak in 10 damage or something. I think that's great.
Yeah, seems pretty good. C plus.
Yeah, C plus. Crawling Infestation, 2 and a green. That says at the beginning of your upkeep, you may mill 2 cards. Whenever one or more creature cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere during your turn, create a 1/1 green insect creature token, but it only triggers once each turn.
At least it's a May, right?
Yeah, it's you may, so you're not afraid of decking yourself and that sort of thing. And there are some decks that are trying to get it into the graveyard, and I do like the fact that it's put in your graveyard from anywhere, not just the battlefield. So that's pretty nice. But the fact that it's only once per turn is a little
But you only can ever get 1 insect.
Yeah.
Like 1 insect per turn.
Yeah, so it really, if you want to swarm the board, basically, you're gonna have to try and get your other stuff as blockers or something. And I don't like that. That's a little narrow.
This looks like C minus, role playing filler for the green black mill deck. Nothing special.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if there's a ton of support for that.
I see black reanimation. I see green mill. This is the support.
Yeah.
For milling your stuff. It's just not a great payoff.
Yeah.
Deadly Recluse is 1 and a green for a 1/2 reach death touch. This will probably play okay, but I wouldn't be happy about playing it. Try to pick this up later in the pack. It's like a C minus.
Yeah, C minus D plus. It's fine.
Yeah, really not crazy.
Elvish Mystic for 1 green, 1/1. You can tap it to add green. This is this is what you need in your ramp decks. This is you gotta slap this down early. I think these are kind of great, especially if you can't find those ramp spells.
I think it's like a B. You're going to get off to the races earlier than everybody else. There's no ramp, aside from Soul Ring, that can compete with a turn 1 dork. So I would want to put as many of these in my deck as I can. Maybe cut some lands for them if you get enough of them, and then just ramp out my commander if it's 3 mana on turn 2.
Definitely. And, this is the thing you're going to hate to hit if you played that one other card, though.
Yeah.
So don't play that one, play this one.
Yeah, it's a solid B, I think. Entourage of Trest, 4 and a green for a 4/4. It can block an additional creature if you're the Monarch, and it enters and makes you the Monarch. This is a mediocre Monarch card, but you can play it because it still just draws you cards over the course of the game. C.
Yeah, C. I'm only playing it for the Monarch. I'm never expecting to block an additional creature.
Basically vanilla.
Yeah. Ewit, our Eternal Witness, 1 green for a 2/1 that says when he enters the battlefield, you may return target card from your graveyard to your hand. I love Eternal Witness.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think this would be B+.
Yeah, B+ sounds good. Just play it in every deck.
Every deck that runs green.
Yeah, it's amazing. But you knew that. Fierce Empath, 2 and a green for a 1/1 ETB. Search for a creature card with mana value 6 or greater, reveal it, and put it into your hand. This is pretty cool. Maybe it's a build around because you need to pay attention to the rares and the bombs you have. If you have Crater of Behemoth, my God, get as many of these as you can. Tutors are sweet, and this is going to help you in games with your big boys. I would probably give it a build around B. It depends on your deck.
Yeah, I'd say B minus C plus because it definitely, but build around definitely because not everyone's gonna be able to find have more than a couple creatures for that, and if they're in the graveyard already, this could be dead in your hand.
Yeah, make sure you have at least 3 targets for this that are solid.
Yeah.
No Goliath Sphinxes. That doesn't count.
Fungal Plots, 1 and a green that says if you pay 1 and a green and exile a creature card from your graveyard, you can create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. If you sack 2 Saprolings, you gain 2 life and draw a card. This is what we were talking about when we said there was some Saproling payoffs in here for Slimefoot and that sort of thing. And I don't think this is the worst if you're running Slimefoot, because you could just draw cards off the Saprolings, and 1 and a green isn't bad to create a 1/1, but also you better have enough creatures in your graveyard, or else this could be kind of just dead.
Yeah, sapling decks, maybe it's a build around C+. It's pretty good for those sapling decks. Maybe the Golgari graveyard deck wants it a little bit if they're not playing saps. But let's go to Goreclaw, Terror of Calcisma. 3 and a green for a 4/3. This card is amazing. Creature spells you cast with power 4 or greater cost 2 less, and when it attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1/+1 against trample until end of turn. Goreclaw hits you like a truck, and I'm surprised it's an uncommon. It's part of that like red-green 4 power matters, and I'm going to be playing Anax and Goreclaw every time over friggin' Tuya Bearclaw.
Goreclaw is amazing. I've seen it in the NN Cube, and everyone always takes it so highly because it always puts in so much work.
You just gotta start spitting out dragons. You can go like Goreclaw turn 4 after doing nothing, and then go turn 5 Skyline Despot. It's like those are totally reasonable curves. Goreclaw enables some serious shenanigans.
Just remember, if you put in the command zone, though, you're gonna be a target because everyone, like, if they know what this card does, you're gonna have the bounty on your head because they know what shenanigans you can pull off with it.
Yeah, it's like ramp plus a mini overrun all built into one. It's a B+.
Yeah, B+.
Love it.
Hunter's Insight, 2 and a green, that says choose target creature you control. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker this turn, draw that many cards. I think this is like so much it's asking. It's like, all right, pick a creature, but if that creature dies, it doesn't matter. But pick a creature that can deal combat damage, but if that doesn't happen, like, don't worry about it. Like, this does nothing at that point. And I think it just has so many places where it can be disrupted that I don't want to play this.
Yeah, your creature has to survive combat, connect through damage, and it has to be at least 3 cards, or else this isn't even worth it. So I just don't think you should play this card.
D-?
D-. It really. Yeah,
I don't want it.
Like, in some decks, I would rather play a basic land.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that great. Elysian Caryatid, 1 green for 1/1, taps for any color, but if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you get 2 mana of any one color instead. Really solid mana dork, helps you accelerate. This can allow for some nutty things like turn 3 Goreclaw, turn 4. This adds 2 mana. Now you're casting like 2 6-drops you could even do. Like, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love this because we love those mana dorks, but also the fact that it could tap for more than 1 is amazing.
Yeah, totally solid. I think it's a C+.
Yeah.
Can't go too ham on it.
It's a mana dork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the 1 mana I'd rather have it B, and this is like, okay, C+, sure.
Yeah. Jade Mage, 1 and a green for 2/1 that says if you pay 2 and a green, you can create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. I think that's a terrible rate for a 1 Saproling. This is, again, one of the Saproling support cards, but I don't think this deck requires you to put so much mana into those Saproling tokens that I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, if you need a mana sink desperately, this is here for you. It's really going to be like one of the worst cards in your deck, and you might begrudgingly play it. Looks like a D+.
Yeah, I was going to say, it has to be in the D range. I'm not playing this in anything.
It's pretty mediocre. Kodama's Reach, 2 and a green for a sorcery. Search for 2 basics. 1 goes into play tap, the other 1 goes in your hand. Do you like this more than Elysian Caryatid?
I think it depends on the deck, right? Because if you're playing a deck with multiple colors, it might be, or like
they both color fix, but I think I'd rather have Kodama's Reach. So maybe this is like a B-.
Yeah,
it fixes you just like that, but it's permanent fixing, and it helps for like Crash of Rhino Beetles, where like they want 10 lands specifically.
Yeah, plus with land, it's harder to kind of disrupt like lands, but like with a creature, it's like, okay, destroy target tapped creature, or a board wipe or something, and then there goes your mana. I'd rather have the lands.
It's a little bit more secure.
Yeah.
So C+ or B- feels good.
Yeah.
Kodama's Reach.
I think I like B-. Kozilek's Predator, 3 and a green for a 3/3 that says when he enters the battlefield, create 2 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature tokens.
I love when the spawns in this set.
I do too. I like the fact that it's their bodies and their mana, and I think this is like not the worst rate. Honestly.
It can do an explosive vegetation impression when you cast a 7-drop on turn 5 with it. I think it's fine. I think it's gonna be a C+, and I'm probably gonna play it. It's chump blockers, it's bodies. You can sacrifice them, you can ramp with them. Sure.
I think it's versatile. C+ is good.
Does a lot of stuff. Croson Tusker, 5 green for a 6/5, cycling 2 and a green. When you cycle it, you can search for a basic land, put it in your hand. So this is if you want green divination, don't play Hunter's Insight, play this thing, because you get to draw a land and then draw a card. I'm rarely going to play this, but it will count as a creature in my graveyard for like fungal plots or a dread return if I really need to, or a victimize, whatever. Totally solid.
C-?
C-. It's just a nice little, you know what, I'll bump it up to a C.
Okay.
I think I will play this a lot.
Will you?
I think so. You're just going to cycle it most of the time.
Okay, that's fair. Loyal Guardian, 4 and a green for a 4/4 trample that says at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
Every one of these cards is going to be amazing.
I think this is a banger. Like,
oh, yeah.
I really like this. I could see this at a B.
I almost want to give it a B+ or an A-. I don't think A- feels a little much. Yeah. But B+, like, this is a must-answer threat. You will literally just win the game if this stays around. So, like, it's got some of the hallmarks of an A-level card of, like, you have to answer this card. It's going to produce, like, 5, 6, 7, 8 power just over and over and over.
I love the fact that you can slap this into any deck, not just a counters deck too, because it's commander out. Bare minimum, that's a couple couple +1/+1 counters.
Goes in every green deck. You should always take this card. It's really hard to pass any of the lieutenant cycle.
Mm-hmm.
They're really sweet. So B+, maybe an A-.
I'm sticking with B+, but I highly recommend you take this early.
Oh yeah, I think it's the best one in this environment.
Yeah, I think this has the most potential.
Yeah.
In this.
Molimo, Marrow Sorcerer, 7 mana for a star, trample, and the stars are equal to your land count. So this is another reason to play those Beanstalk Giants and the Kodama's Reaches. In the command zone, it's okay. It's very vanilla. You're going to, like I think with Rorix, the first time you play it, this might be impactful. It'll be like an 8/8 or 7/7. Whoa, that's pretty big. Then something happens, it gets blocked, it gets killed, it gets goaded. I don't know, you don't get to do what you want with it, and then you feel bad.
Yeah, I think it's also a little bit rough because in these decks, you're also going to want a lot of mana dorks and that sort of thing. And the fact that it counts your lands, so you can't, it doesn't matter if you put it out on turn like 4 or 5 if you're using those, the mana from the mana dorks, because it might just be like a 4/4 at that point.
Yeah, it's harder to accelerate into this and have it be relevant. I think it's a C-.
I was going to say C-.
C-. It's a nice chunky boy, but that's about it.
Loyal Companion, 3 and a green for a 3/3. Vigilance Trample. If one or more 1/1 counters will be put on it, that many +1 1/1 counters are put on it instead. I mean, this is one of the better +1/+1 like commanders, I guess, but
it wants you to go on him. It's like it wants you to put all your eggs in the one basket.
Yeah, I mean, what are you trying to do, like Voltron?
I
don't know.
It's good with Loyal Guardian or Loyal Rhino guy, but everything is. I don't know. I don't like this one.
It's one of the better ones, and even that's not good.
I don't even know if I agree with. I don't like it.
I was gonna say I'm not seeing. I feel like with the +1/+1 counter deck, we're seeing the support for it, except for the commanders.
Yeah, where are the good commanders? I know there's one coming up, but I don't think Mo is that good. I'd probably give it a D+ or C-.
Yeah, I think C-.
It's so medium. Namada, Grove Guardian, 4 green for a 4/5 Tree Folk. It's got the same ability as Jade Mage, which is 2 and a green, make a 1/1 sap. But you can sacrifice a sapling to give your saplings +1/+1 until end of turn. So it's a nice little overrun if you're enough into saplings that you can have this as one of your commanders. I think it's an okay 6-drop in a regular deck, though. At least it does. It's got more stats than Jade Mage. The same little like mediocre mana sink, but maybe mostly as commander.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd put this in the 99 of the Slimefoot deck. But...
So like a build around C+.
Yeah, maybe C for me, but
or B-.
I think that's high for this.
Well, if you're all saplings, then it's great.
Yeah, because you could just act them and just... Yeah, that's not bad. Definitely build around, though.
Yeah, I'm not too thrilled.
Ovia Pashiri, Sage Lifecrafter for 1 green that says 2 and a green and tap it, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token, or 4 and a green and tap it, create an XX colorless construct artifact creature token where X is the number of creatures you control. She's a 1/2. She comes down pretty early, especially the turn 1 commander.
Always. Not even early, just always turn 1.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
I'm excited.
Are you?
I think don't sleep on Ovia. I think it's a nice mana sink. It is the cheapest commander you could possibly have. It's going to come down on turn 1 every time. It'll give you something to do on turn 3 if you don't have anything to do. Make a dumb chump blocker. But in the late game, it just pukes out 6/6s and 7/7s, and you can't keep Ovia in play and win a grindy game.
Yeah, I think if you can get to the later ability, it's really, really good. But in the earlier turns of the game, I don't want to do that with my 3 mana. Yeah, it's fine.
You don't want to make a servo as much as you want to make dudes, but it's a mana sink in your command zone that is going to scale with how good your board is. If you don't have a board, great. She can start to rebuild with 1/1s.
Yeah, I think that this also kind of flies under the radar too, which is pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. You're going to get some value out of Ovia. I think it's probably a B-.
Really? I was going to say CC+, but...
I think this is a good commander for basically any deck. You can just play it. Pollen Bright Druid, 1 and a green for a 1/1. You either put a counter on a creature when it enters, or you proliferate. These counters cards are just completely missing for me. This looks like another bad draft format for Hamza. Poor little guy. This looks like a D.
Yeah, I'm not like the proliferate cards. I'm not excited to because it relies on you to have a board so much already, and this is choose either or.
Right.
So
No, if you put a counter on a creature, you're playing a vanilla. It's just not great.
yeah, and it's a vanilla like what 1/1.
Like I don't know where we're supposed to get our counters from, because there's not a lot of good cards. And the ones that are good, everyone's going to be fighting for, like the Rhino.
Yeah, because that goes in every deck, not just the
play
counters deck.
because it's too good not to play.
Yeah, I don't think this counters deck is really coming together from what I've seen so far in the
Doesn't
commons
seem
and
like it.
uncommons. Predatory Rampage, 3 green that says creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. Each creature your opponents control blocks this turn if able.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think that if you have such a wide board, this could basically, kill everyone else's stuff if they have a lot of little things, and that could be really sweet. And I really like this as an overrun type effect.
Yeah, it's a good overrun effect if you have a million creatures, but also it could just be a really solid removal spell. Like if I have a Deadly Recluse, let's say, I can give it +3/+3, attack one of my opponents, they're forced to block with everything on that Deadly Recluse, and I just kill 4 of their creatures.
I think this could be B-.
It's a really good card. I think it's a B+. You're gonna take it whenever you see it because you're gonna need finishers, and it's gonna really like screw up opponents. I think this card's amazing.
Yeah, I think that if you do take this, it could really put in some work.
Your decks have to have finishers in this format, and that's one of the go-tos. Ram through, 1 and a green, instant. Target creature you control deals damage to its power to target creature you don't control, and if the creature has trample, it spills over into the creature's controller. I think this is going to end up being good. I would play it in green decks. Green-blue is going to have some trouble answering creatures without giving them something in return. So, C.
Yeah, C is good. I also think that
I'd play 2 of these.
Yeah, maybe if it's bumped up a little bit, if a lot of your deck has trample and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it could be better.
Yeah.
A big commander.
Rampaging Brontodon, 5 green for a 7/7 trample that says when it attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each land you control. Another land matters card.
Kind of a big boy.
Yeah, this is going to get real big real quick.
It's like Molimo, but you get 7 power added to whatever it is.
I think that this is one of the better ones in my opinion though, because even if you ramp into it, it's like it could still be like an 11/11 trample.
Yeah, this looks like one of the better like vanilla stat big creatures. I'd be pretty happy to reanimate this too.
C+?
Probably C+. Yeah, I might look to play this in big green decks.
Yeah, I'd put this in.
All right, but we finally did it. We have a good counters commander. It's Rishkar, Pima Renegade, 2 and a green, 2/2 ETB. Put a counter on each of up to 2 creatures, and creatures you control with counters on them tap for green mana. Finally, just a nice little great. It gets your counters down. It helps ramp you into the late game. You can accelerate to the moon with this. Finally. Thank you.
I'm really sad, though, that it took us this long to find a Counters Matters commander, considering we've gone through so many cards that are Counters Matters.
There's just it's like Mowu. No thanks.
Yeah.
I'm not really interested. I like Rishkar. I like B.
Yeah, Rishkar is good.
You could play him in any deck, too. He doesn't even need to be counters. That's the great thing about him is he really pays off counters, but you could just be like, I'm playing a good stuff deck. I don't care. And the counters player's just crying in the corner because they got Mowu.
Yeah, you just put a couple counters on like your little dirtly creatures anyways, and they just tap for mana at that point. Like, I think that's good no matter what. Rot Shambler, 1 and a green for a 1/1 that says whenever another creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Rot Shambler. What does that look for?
That's the F look of, oh my god, don't play this card ever. Please don't put this in your deck. I think it's terrible.
Yeah, I think F's good.
Just a big fat F. Skyshroud Claim, though, is 3 and a green for a sorcery. Search for 2 forests. Put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle. They come in untapped because they're normal basic forests. So this lets you double a spell. It is amazing. I think I was actually surprised it's common because I would take as many of these as I can get.
I love Skyshroud Claim, and it's needed a reprint for a bit now, and at common, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think B feels fair. I'll take it about as high as Elvish Mystic. Like, if a pack has Skyshroud Claim and Elvish Mystic, that might be your first 2 picks.
Yeah, I think that leaves you quite open for, just green in general, and the fact that there's a fair amount of, like, Lands Matters cards that we've been seeing.
I want this to get all my lands in play for those 3 or 4, 5, 6 cards we talked about.
Yeah, just know that this is going to get you basic forests because we don't have any of the dual types.
Yeah, so it can't fix you.
Sky Snare Spider, 4 green for a 6/6 with Vigilance and Reach. I don't think that's great. I don't want to play this.
This is your filler. This is your D.
Yeah,
D or D plus. I would say D.
I think D
level,
plus is kind.
Yeah, D level, just like big thing. It's like, hey, I did it. I played a 6-drop. And everyone's like, okay, it blocks well. That's about it.
Yeah, Vigi Reach. Okay, what else? Nothing? Cool.
I need a little more. Did you see the Brontodon? Because that's what I want in my top end. It's like a 15-15. Snakeskin Veil, green for an instant. Here's another gotcha card. Put a counter on a creature you control, and it gains hexproof until end of turn. Don't love these gotchas. That's just kind of how I play. I would start this at a D.
I love gotchas a bit more than BZ, and I still don't think this is great. I think that if your commander really is so vital to your game plan that you can't miss a turn without it, you can play it. But except for that one rare circumstance, if your deck can function without your commander, or just just one other creature or whatever, you should not be playing this.
You don't need to. I don't think you need to play this.
Yeah,
So-
I think D, maybe D plus if your commander is absolutely vital.
Yeah, D plus sounds a little bit better. I like D plus. Just don't play a ton of them.
No, you shouldn't be taking 5 if that's
No,
what you're
please,
saying.
please no.
Surak, the Hunt Caller, 2 green, 5/4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if creatures you control have total power 8 or greater, target creature you control gains haste until end of turn. The
Green
creature,
haste enabler.
yeah, the decks that are going to be those big green stompy decks are going to love this because 8 power is not tough to get in those decks.
No, it isn't. I want the Surak Goreclaw mono green. Play a bunch of those Brontodons and then just go turn like 5, attack for like 14.
Yeah, we want to curve right into like Elvish Mystic, the Sky Shrouds, the
Seriously.
the Goreclaws, the Surak, and then as many Brontodons as possible. A Crater Hoof.
Maybe. I think this is just really important for the big beefy green decks because we always talk about like it's fun to play big things, but then you go, just you wait until I untap, and then things happen because the game is 4 players and your plans get ruined. But when you can attack right away and you know what the board state looks like, pretty huge upside.
You don't even have to tell them, just you wait, because the wait is right now. I'd say
Just you take 7.
B.
I think B is good. Tuskguard Captain, 2 and a green for a 2/3 Outlast green, and each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has Trample. Okay, well, this is at least a counters payoff. Trample could be good if you can stack up enough. I would play this in my counters decks. It's not gonna. I wouldn't expect this to build up into a threat. So I'm not trying to outlast it 6 times. Not like you did back in the limited format it was in, like Khans of Tarkir, but it's playable. It looks like a C-.
It's one of the better counters cards, but that's not saying much. C- is about
Yeah,
right.
we haven't seen a lot.
Verdaloth the Ancient, 4 green, 4/7 with Kicker X. Sapperling creatures and other treefolk creatures get +1/+1. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, you can create X 1/1 green Sapperling creature tokens.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I think this can kind of explode into quite a lot, especially if you have so much ramp.
You need a lot of mana. You can't reanimate this. It doesn't. There's no cheating it. But if you got 9 lands, you get a 4/7 and 3 2/2s? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stats.
Yeah, I really want to play this in the 99 of Slimefoot, or just putting this as its own and then creating another black and then putting Slimefoot in the 99. I'm pretty excited to see this.
Yeah,
It can be a lot of power.
Every one of these cards is making me realize how. I mean, we appropriately graded it, but how insane Goreclaw is going to be as commander.
Yeah.
It's just reducing these things is bonkers. This card looks good as commander, looks fine in the 99. Solid B.
Yeah.
Good B-.
Yeah, B-.
All right, Wildwood Scourge. Here's another counters payoff. Let's see if it does anything. X and a green for a 0/0 Hydra. ETB with X counters. Whenever one or more counters are put on another non-Hydra creature you control, put a +1/+1 counter on Wildwood Scourge. Oh, man. So you're going to play a vanilla creature. That's the base. But it's rewarding you by saying, oh, you put 3 counters on 3 creatures? Well, this thing gets 3 counters. And then it's still a vanilla with no evasion. Stop.
I don't want this.
Stop, please.
D at best, D- normally.
I'd give it a D+. It's just big. Keyword big. Not going to cut it in this format, I don't think.
It really won't, especially since, okay, I'll block it with a 1/1 Flying Thopter. Cool. Now you're like 15/15 is tapped, and it's just, that's it.
I
Cool.
need something. I need to be pushing through damage. I need evasion. I need removal. I need card draw. And this doesn't give any of that.
I need better.
How about the last green card?
Eudora, Grave Gardener, 4 and a green for a 5/5 that says whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may return it to the battlefield face down under its owner's control. It's a forest land.
This goes with the landfall type, not landfall, but land count matters deck. If you want to sacrifice your dudes, like green-black.
I think that's such a weird thing to put in because usually when you're looking to kill your creatures or sack them, you want them to come back later. And then this says, nah, they'll come back, but they'll be forests instead.
This is going to be like a card you see in the 58, the 99. I don't think it's really going to be that great of a commander. The deck, you're not going to see it very much. The deck's not going to come together. It looks like a C-. Like it's okay. You can play it, but there's a very, very good chance it does very little.
Yeah, if my creatures die, I want to bring them back, not bring them back as forests.
Well, yeah, that's true. So we get to go to the colorless cards, and there's some surprising inclusions like Ulamog's Crusher, 8 mana, 8/8, Annihilator 2. So when it attacks, defending player sacrifices 2 permanents, and it attacks each combat if able. A fun little note about that is the original playtest for the Eldrazi cards in Rise of the Eldrazi, players were like not used to having giant 8/8s and limited, and they're like, well, I'm just going to leave this back as a perfect blocker. But Wizards like, no, you're supposed to attack with it. Annihilator's broken, so like it has to attack. It's going to be really, really good. I think this is a good ramp payoff.
I think it's absolutely crazy that Wizards in this set was like, yeah, you know what? We should bring back Annihilator.
Heck yeah. I think Annihilator's fair and fun and like appropriately brutal.
I think it's fair and fun because, you're putting so much mana into it. I think it's crazy, though, because so many people are like, Annihilator's the boogeyman, and I'm so surprised that they're like, where this would be best? A Commander Masters set.
Yeah, so I wouldn't hate taking this a little early, maybe like 3rd or 4th pick if you want to stay open. Seems like a totally reasonable top end. C+, it's not like groundbreaking or anything, but it's just a good card.
Yeah, the colorless keeps you open. C+ is good. Pathrazor of Ulamog for 11 mana for a 9/9 that has Annihilator 3. It can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. I think this is brutal. If you're ramping into this and you get this down, they have to basically kill 3 permanents and then also kill 3 creatures if they want to block it. This could like kill someone's entire board almost, like, and they're just left sacking lands at a certain point.
Yeah, another thing about these Eldrazi with Annihilator is the black-green decks are going to love them. Same with the black-blue decks, because you're going to try to use Derange Assistant and the Grub to mill these and then victimize or dread return them back on like turn 5, and it's like, you don't have the facilities to stop this Annihilator 3.
I would love this on my top end, and especially would love it if I'm trying to cheat it out.
Yeah, I would take this really early and try to build around it.
B-?
B-, sure. Seems like a good card. All right, Ashnod's Altar. This is going to be a build around because it's a 3-mana artifact that says sacrifice a creature to add 2 colorless mana. You both need to be the sacrifice deck. If you're the sacrifice deck, this is a good sack outlet. And have X spells, giant monsters like Pathrazor in your deck. But once you do, build around B+. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
it makes so much mana.
I love the fact that it's not only a free sack outlet, but it gives you the mana. This probably is going in the Golgari sacrifice decks.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at Vertiloth the Ancient. That's a mana sink. You can just sack your entire board. Sack 5 creatures, make 10 mana, play them for 6 with your lands, then kick it for 10 and just get 1 million saplings.
Yeah, build around B+.
Build around B+, yeah. Or maybe A-. This card could be very, very good.
Yeah. Arcane Signet for 2 mana. You could tap it to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Take this as highly as possible if you're not in a monocolor. This is going to color fix you.
Well, if you're in monocolor, it's still good.
Yeah, I guess. But also, like, especially if you're in those 3 colors, you're going to need color fixing, especially since there aren't any of those dual-type lands in here.
Take it to like a B. It's like a B-level card. You could... This will be a first pick a lot of the time just because people want to stay open.
Yeah, but it will keep you open. It will get you that mana. B's good, even B+, maybe.
Right. Bonder's Ornament, 3 mana for an artifact, tap for a mana of any color, and 4 and tap. Each player who controls a permanent named Bonder's Ornament draws a card. I don't really like this card. I don't think that last ability is that fun or interesting. You're obviously going to be the only person drawing a card because your opponents won't have this in their deck because they watch this video. I think this is like a D. You could play it. Like it's begrudgingly playable.
Yeah, I think 3 mana already for a add 1 mana of any color type artifact is not the best rate, especially
with artifact synergies. It might get over the line.
Yeah, but just I'm gonna try and just pretend that next one isn't even there because am I really at a point where I'm going to want to pay 4 mana to draw 1 card?
Well, I'd rather have that on my mana list.
Yeah.
So like it's a bad ability on an okay card, which makes the card better.
But I'm just like.
But there is a disaster where if your opponents have it too, you're like, I don't even want to do this.
Yeah, just destroy theirs. Waste
Yeah,
it.
you have to.
Assault Suit, 4 mana. Equipped creature gets +2/+2, has haste, can't attack you or planeswalkers you control, and can't be sacrificed. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may have that player gain control of equipped creature until end of turn. If you do, untap it and equip for 3. I think this is just so much mana to put into this.
Does the creature have to attack?
No.
I'm off it. If I'm not forcing combat and forcing damage and forcing trades or something, what am I doing with this?
Yeah, it's like, it has haste and it has extra stats. It just can't attack me. And it's like, okay, I'll keep it back as a cool blocker, I guess.
Can't be sacrificed is good text to have on it. It makes it more functional, but really weird. Like, It's basically supposed to be like, oh, I put it on my big flyer, and I attack, and then it attacks, and then it attacks, and then it attacks. So I got 4 attacks, but none of it was on me. But they could just leave it back if they don't feel like. They could all agree. It's like, hey, this is all net negative for us as a whole, so let's just never attack with it.
Yeah, 7 mana too, just to get all of your opponents to say, yeah, we'll just hold it back as a blocker.
Dude, these equip
Awful.
costs, come on. All right, Burnished Heart. 3 mana for a 2/2, 3, sacrifice it, search your library for up to 2 basic lands, put them on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Playable, a little slow.
Yeah,
Definitely on the slow end.
A little expensive, but it does help you with your colors. So
I would say C.
yeah,
You
C's.
can play it. It's not the greatest.
It's fine, but it's not the worst. Brass Knuckles, 4 mana. When you cast a spell, copy it. Equipped creature has double strike as long as there are 2 or more equipment. As long as 2 or more equipment are attached to it and equipped for 1. This is kind of weird, actually. I love the low equip cost, and I love the fact that it's copied, so immediately it just gives double strike. But that's it, though. It gives only double strike, and if one of the copies leaves, it's like, oh, this does nothing.
I think it's. I'm at least, like you said, I'm at least glad to have equip 1 on something, because we've only had it on, I think, Ancestral Blade so far. This is gonna be a C-. I don't even think it's that great, but you might just need it if you're trying to play that equipment deck.
I think it's a D+ because it's 6 mana, give double strike. I
Yeah,
think
you
that's
need other
pretty
stuff.
awful.
Let's give it a D+. I'm not thrilled with it. Commander Sphere, 3 mana for an artifact, tap for 1 of any color of your commander's identity, sacrifice it, draw a card. I like sacrifice, draw a card better than 4-tap, draw a card, because in the late game you're kind of similarly. You don't need. You're not going to be able to spend 5 mana to draw a card 3 turns in a row. I really just kind of want my card. I think this is a card that I love, but it's honestly, what do we give Bonder's Ornament?
C- maybe.
C-. I think this is also like a C-.
Yeah, I might bump it up to C because I like the fact that not only can you tap it for mana, you can sack it while it's tapped to draw a card.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be untapped to sack to draw a card, which is nice. So it's like C-. You're not going to play a ton of these.
No, don't play more than 1, I'd say.
Yeah, even then.
Campfire, for 1 mana. If you pay 1 and tap it, you can gain 2 life. If you pay 2 and tap it and exile it, put all commanders you own from the command zone and from your graveyard into your hand, then shuffle your graveyard into your library. I think that it's like playable to an extent. I'm not like super mad at it, especially if your commanders are getting up there in like they've been killed a bunch of times and like that commander tax is just getting way too high.
I mean, if that was the case, I could go back in time and put this in my deck, but I don't know how to get this in my deck when I don't know that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just for the decks that have those commanders where they're just the kill on site, like maybe
Maybe I don't know.
Or-
It's
come
still
on, like-
you're still paying commander tax to basically put the commander in your hand. You're still paying 2. It's still 2 extra for your commander.
Yeah, I do like the
don't-
fact.
I don't like this card. I think it's just weird and it doesn't go in any specific deck.
Yeah, it's not really asking anything specifically, so it's not build around. I do like the fact that it says put all commanders though, so if it is partner, it's not. So it's definitely a little bit easier if it's like, oh, my commanders each got killed 3 times. That's a lot of mana.
It's a do nothing in the early game. It's a do nothing until like turn 6.
Yeah, I guess if you have that 1 extra mana, you can just gain a little life here and there. But
That's nothing.
yeah, but 2 life again, it's like if you're paying 2 life to do X, Y, Z effect, that 2 life to tap it is nothing too.
Give me an extort on a relevant creature, but this is just only a life gain mechanism, and that's not a deck, so forget it. Explorer Scope, 1 for an artifact, equips for 1. When the equipped creature attacks, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land, you can put it on the battlefield tapped. So you're not going to get a land every time. It's closer to 50-50. But it does equip for 1, and it is playable for 1. So unlike Brass Knuckles, it just comes down and it's equipped immediately, like really quickly. So if you're, maybe I would only say equipment decks, and otherwise don't play this.
Yeah, only equipment decks. At least it's cheap.
D+.
I'm not saying many good things about this.
D+.
Dark Steel Ingot, 3 mana for an indestructible, add 1 mana of any color mana rock. I think this is worse than Commander Sphere because it's just a mana rock at this point. Are we really that afraid of people destroying our mana rocks? I don't know. I'm not that
I'm not
afraid
at
of it.
all.
And so I'm going to say D+.
Yes. So I think we need to amend Bonder's Ornament and Commander Sphere, C-. This card, D+.
Yeah, this is worse than those.
Yes. Firemind Vessel, 4 mana for an artifact, enters tapped, and it taps for 2 mana of different colors. Nice little color fixer. Can't use it right away. Little slow, kind of like Burnished Heart. I'd probably give this a C.
Yeah, see, I really like the fact that it's mana of different colors.
It can jump you pretty far in mana.
Yeah, I really like that. Turn 4 is a little slow, but I don't mind. Felwar Stone, 2 mana. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. I really like Felwar Stone. It's another Arcane Signet type deal.
C, Arcane Signet. It's a B.
Yeah, B's good.
Foundry Inspector, 3 mana for a 3/2. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. I enjoyed the artifact deck in Commander Legends, and I would just try to pick up as many of this card as possible. It's really enjoyable. Probably a C+. It's just a good card. You can play it in almost any deck.
I think C+ is good, but I wouldn't put it in any deck.
I think it's... If you have 10 artifacts, with ramp and whatever else, you just play this.
Yeah, Forebear's Blade, 3 mana. Equipped creature gets +3/+0 and has Vigilance and Trample. Whenever equipped creature dies, attach this blade to target creature you control and you equip it for 3.
At least it dodges all the future equip costs.
Yeah, but still, 3 mana to put down, 3 mana to equip immediately. Big mana, that's a lot of mana to put in immediately. I don't want to give this super high. I'd say C-.
C-. Let's go to Haunted Cloak. This is going to be an actual equipment, folks. 3 mana, equips for 1. Equipped creature has Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. Here we go. Haste Enabler. The Vigi makes it so that it can block and attack, and the Trample means it'll get through extra damage if it's super big. I like this one. I think this is actually like a C.
Yeah, I think this is a C too. I think that if you are playing the equipment deck, you want to take this somewhat highly. I'm not going to say super highly, but if you're trying to get that equipment deck, there is so much worse you can get stuck with.
Yeah, that's true. Let's keep going.
Geogolem, 5 mana for a 5/3 trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast your commander from the command zone without paying its mana cost. I think this is definitely better in some of those super high mana costs, like the Eldrazi precons and that sort of thing, if you're putting in Kozilek for that. But I'm not sure if there's any commanders in here that I'm so excited to cheat out that I can't just pay mana for.
Feels like a C+.
Yeah.
Kind of filler. You don't need
functional.
Don't think that you need this. You just don't. Hero's Blade, 2 mana for an equipment. It gets +3/+2, equips for 4, but when a legendary creature enters under your control, you can attach Hero's Blade to it. So it really, you're going to play this on turn 2 or play it early, then play your commander and get an auto-equip. That's kind of nice. This card has done some stuff. It only gives stats, but it's a chunky stat boost. Probably a C+.
C+ is fine.
Yeah,
but in the right deck.
Yeah, try to be equipments.
Heartpiercer Bow, for 2 mana. Whenever equipped creature attacks, Heartpiercer Bow deals 1 damage to target creature defending player controls. Equip 1. I don't like this card. D-.
Yeah, D-. This is one of the things you can tutor with that mana dork. Not good. Lightning Greaves, though, surprised that's here. Equipped creature has Shroud and Haste. 2 to play, 0 to equip. B+. This is going to just protect your win conditions, enable haste, enable mana dorks, tap for mana on the turn. It does so much in this format. It's not like regular Commander where I say, well, not every deck needs this. I would play this in every deck.
Yeah, I like the fact that it is uncommon too, so you could play, you could just pick it up pretty easily. But yeah, I'd say B+ is good.
I'd say B+, but diminishing returns after you take the first one.
Yeah, please don't play 4.
Yeah, don't play 4.
Letter of Acceptance, 3 mana. You could tap to add 1 mana of any color, and you can pay 2 and sack it and tap it to draw a card.
C- with all the other ones that do that.
Yeah, yep. I think this is a command sphere type deal.
Yep. Mirror Sire, 2 mana for a 1/1, dies into a 1/1 Phyrexian Mirror artifact creature token. This is good for your sacrifice decks. Can maybe go in your artifact creature decks. I think it's a nice little role player, but it's like a C-. It doesn't do a ton.
Yeah, I think it's a good 2-drop, but, don't expect too much from it. Meteor Golem, 7 mana for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-land permanent an opponent controls. I think this is fine because it can go in any deck. However, I would rather run any other type of removal for the most part because it's 7 mana. It's a little much.
Usually this is kind of worth it. It's like a C+ card. I think it's it can go in your deck. You're not thrilled about it, but it is removal and you can flicker or reanimate it nicely.
Yeah, in those decks, I think it might go a little bit higher. But in normal decks, when you have other removal to choose, I would maybe put this off to the side.
Well, then this is also why you draft all the Foundry Inspectors. It's I can pay 5 mana for this, maybe? That'd be pretty sweet. Prismatic Lens, 2 mana, taps for 1, or you can color fix for 1 and tap. Just kind of on the level of Arcane Signet, a little bit below. So it's B-. You'd still take this pretty highly. 2 mana ramp is great.
Yeah, Pilgrim's Eye, 3 mana, 1/1 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Color fixing. 3 mana's a lot to kind of do that, though.
This card was okay in Commander Legends, but this format I think is going to be a little less forgiving on 3 mana 1/1s.
Yeah, I think this format's a little way too fast for this because of just the raw power in here. I think 3 mana just for 1 land.
Some decks are going to laugh at this. If you're that's your turn 3 play, cool.
Yeah, the Goreclaw ones.
The Goreclaw ones, yeah. What did we say, C-?
Yeah, I think C-.
Yeah. Sandstone Oracle, 7 mana 4/4 flyer, ETB, choose an opponent. If that player has more cards than you draw cards equal to the difference. This could be good. This is a nice way to play last card in your hand. Someone might have 4 or 5 cards, and then you're just right back in the game.
Yeah, I think the artifact deck, with the Foundry Inspectors and stuff, you could get this pretty cheap.
Yeah, I think it's not broken or anything. It looks like a C.
Yeah, C's pretty good.
I'm not going to play this every time.
No, definitely not. Perfect Prism, 2 mana. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and you can pay 1 and tap it to add 1 mana of any color fixing, plus a free card draw. I like this. I think it's B minus, C plus.
Oh, I would say it's like a D minus or D plus. It doesn't ramp you. It
Well,
just color fixes.
yeah,
Like it only color fixes.
I think it really depends on what deck you're kind of going into, though, because it's like some decks it's like really hurting for that, and there's like not as much color fixing in this format.
I just wouldn't draft this card highly.
No.
We can disagree on it.
Yeah.
I have it at like a D. Like I almost never play it.
Yeah, I'm not saying draft it highly, but I am saying that in the fixing, like drawing the extra card is.
Well, if it's a B, you're taking it pretty early, right?
Okay, maybe that's a little too high.
You're not taking it at the same level as Arcane Signet.
No. Okay, definitely not. Maybe that was a little too high.
You had like C minus.
Yeah,
And I have
maybe.
it like D minus.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
This next card you might have heard of it. It's Soul Ring. It's 1 mana. It taps for 2 mana. This card's busted. It's an A. Let's just give it an A plus. It's literally one of the best cards in Commander. You should never pass it, and you're gonna play it early game a lot of the time, and you're just gonna smash people.
Yeah, I never would ever see Soul Ring and go, you know what? I'd rather have something else.
Yeah, if you're playing for power, don't ever pass this. It's probably the best card in the set.
Yeah, I mean it's one of the best cards in the format, hands down, if not the best card.
It's one of the best Magic cards ever printed. Let's just give it an A plus and move on.
A plus, absolutely. Shimmermere 3 for a 2/2 flash that says you may cast artifact spells as though they had flash. I think in the right deck this is going to be good because you can sneak out a couple artifact creatures if someone's trying to attack you and it looks like you have nothing. But in normal, in your everyday kind of deck, even though it is colorless, I'm not sure if I'd take this highly.
It's like a build around C plus where artifact decks might be happy to play it, but it just gives you the flexibility of like playing spells whenever. It doesn't really power up your spells. It might mean that you have to play spells you get to play spells at more opportune times, but I like build around C plus. It's not a card you have to take highly. It really isn't.
No, absolutely not. It's not particularly powerful either.
Yeah, I think we'll get back on track, and then I think the next card is yours.
Spectral Searchlight, 3 mana. If you tap it, you can choose a player. That player adds 1 mana of any color they choose.
Just another Manolith. They've made a lot of these.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put this maybe at C minus, D plus, because it can give it to other players if you want to do those political deals, but other than that, you're just going to use it for yourself, and it's just 3 mana, 1 mana of any color.
Yeah, it's D plus. I'm not going to play this unless I really messed up or I got an unlucky in the draft. Staunch Throne Guard is a 5 mana 2/5 artifact creature with vigilance that enters the battlefield and makes you the monarch. Didn't really see this card being played too much. You don't have room for all these actual vanillas that make you, even if they do make you the monarch. So you might only have room for 3 or 4 of the better monarch cards. So you're not going to play this a ton. It's probably a C minus.
Yeah, I think there are enough good cards in the colors that you're looking for that make you the monarch without having to resort to this.
Yeah.
Thought Vessel, 2 mana. You have no max hand size. If you tap it, you can add 1 colorless mana. I think this is good. I think this is a little bit lower than Arcane Signet, so probably B minus.
B minus feels good, or even just B. 2 mana rock's really good. Thran Dynamo is a 4 mana rock that taps for 3 right away. This could do some real stuff. This is going to accelerate you into the moon. Not every deck is super interested, but I think most of them are. I would take this pretty early and not be too upset about it.
Yeah, I love the fact that it doesn't come in tapped too, so you can use that 3 mana right away, so it almost pays for itself at a certain point.
It's nice. It's really nice to have. Let's give it a B.
I think B's good. Unstable Obelisk, 3 mana. If you tap it, you can add 1 colorless or 7 and tap it and sack it to destroy target permanent.
Another Manolith.
Are you really that hard for removal? I guess it's better than the indestructible one because it has a slight upside, but I'm not really I'm still not picking this.
I think we're in the
super
C
highly.
minus category again.
C minus is about good.
You can see they're all kind of falling into several categories. The 2 mana rocks are B's or B minuses. The 3 mana rocks are C minuses, and the 3 mana rocks that don't do anything are D's. Vial of Dragonfire, 2 mana for an artifact, 2 tap, sack it. It deals 2 damage to target creature. F. This card is complete trash. No need to play it.
No, this is barely even removal for most creatures.
It's barely anything.
Yeah, I don't want this in any deck.
No.
F.
If you're playing this, things may have been trouble. You may have had a hard draft. You had scraped through playables.
Yeah, Volshock Battle Gear, 3 mana. Equipped creature gets +3/+3, and it equips for 3. Again, another equipment that costs so much to equip. So it's
much.
6 mana just for +3/+3. I don't really want to play this. I think this is a D.
Yeah, this looks like another D. But we're on to lands now. Lands are pretty cool. Ash Barrens. Taps for colorless, or you can basic land cycle for 1. This is a better version of Evolving Wilds. It kind of you decide when you want to pay the 1, not having it always enter tapped. You can play this as a land and never get a land if you're already fixed. And it's just really solid. I think it's not going to be a card you need to take super aggressively. So it's probably a C plus.
C plus is good. Command Tower, you could tap it to add 1 mana of any color in your Commander's color identity. I mean, take this super highly. There's not that much land destruction in this, and then if you have, 2 colors, and it's just amazing. Please.
I think I would probably just put this at C+. You don't need to take lands that highly.
I mean, I'm not saying take it super highly, but if you're gonna take a land, this is the best one you can hope for, right?
Yeah, it's good color fixing. 3 color decks really want it, so pay attention about that. Mirrored Landscape is a nice little ramp piece. Enters tapped, makes it colorless. You can pay 2 tap, sack it to get 2 basic lands that share a type. So this can color fix. It can ramp you. It's ramp. It's a little slow, but I would take this at C+ level again for any deck pretty much.
Yeah, C+. Opal Palace, you could tap it to add 1 colorless, or pay 1 and tap it to add 1 mana and of any color in your commander's color identity. If you spend this mana to cast your commander, it enters the battlefield with a number of additional +1/+1 counters on it equal to the number of times it's been cast from the command zone this game.
So many words.
It really was. I think this is a little bit of a trick because it sounds good, but it's it's better if your commander gets killed a lot, and I don't like that, and it's only killed if it only counts from the times it's been counted from the command zone and not just in general cast. So I don't know. I think it would just be flat C, maybe C-.
I like C- for this. You're gonna play it because it's a little bit better than a basic land if you don't have a lot of utility lands, so you could play this. You're not gonna miss it. I don't think it matters really, so C- is fine. Path of Ancestry enters tapped and makes a mana of your commander's color identity, and when it's spent to cast a creature that shares a type with your commander, like your commander, you scry 1. So really good. C+, same level. I would take this at the same level as I would take Command Tower.
Yeah, I think C+ is good, especially if you have those synergistic type decks that it can really help with a little bit of scry here and there. Reliquary Tower, you have no maximum hand size, and if you tap it, you can add 1 colorless. I think certain decks will like this a lot better than other decks if you're drawing a bunch of cards, but I still wouldn't take this super highly.
How often do you think you're going to go above 7 cards?
I don't think that often in this format,
it
at
really
least.
doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
Yeah, D+.
At D+, yeah, I don't think you're going to need Reliquary Tower. Rogue's Passage, though, that's a 4 and a tap. Creature can't be blocked this turn. That's going to push through damage. That could end games. I would take Rogue's Passage maybe at a B- level. I would be fine if every one of my decks had one.
I think C+. I think the 4 mana, definitely in the late game is fine, but early game it might just be
you just don't do it. It's a land in the early game.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying in the early game, colorless might be a little rough.
Oh, okay. For fixing?
Yeah.
You can't take a million, but I would definitely want at least 1.
Yeah, I wouldn't be angry at 1. I'd say,
You can even screw up your opponents and say, man, that creature that's attacking someone else can't be blocked.
I think C would be good.
I'll give it a C+. Maybe. You kind of talked me out of a B- though.
Terramorphic Expanse, if you tap it and sack it, you can search your library for a basic land card, put it in the battlefield tapped and shuffle. Good for color fixing. Don't take too many, though, because they're going to come in tapped.
It's like a C. You'll get them. You don't really need to go out of your way to get them.
It's fine.
Thriving Bluff is going to represent all 5 thriving lands. They enter the battlefield tapped. You choose a color other than the color they tap for, and they tap for 1 color. So with Thriving Bluff, I'll say white. Now it taps for red and white. You got to keep track of that. Usually your deck's 2 colors, so it's actually fine. This is a creative little way to get around the color identity. This is color identity red, but you can play it in a red-green deck and a Jund deck and a red-blue deck. It's pretty sweet. You can take these about as much as you take Terramorphic. They're better fixing than Terramorphic. 3-color decks are going to like them at C+, but the 2-color decks just kind of like a C.
Yeah, I think C is good. Was there no Evolving Wilds in this?
No, it's the same thing as Terramorphic, so.
Yeah, no, I mean.
And was that our last card?
That was.
Do you have another one? We're good?
I don't.
Wow, we did it. That's every card in Commander Legends, every common and uncommon. The rare and mythic one, that's also coming. Stay tuned, and remember, watch out for Goreclaw and Yahenni.